worlds versus the blue. There we go. Here we go. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
You got to introduce the stream. We got to introduce the stream. Here we are. It's HSC, Holistic System Cooperative, and we are doing a Tuesday group meeting. And
May 23rd.
It's May 23rd. That's right. That's right. It's Tuesday, May 23rd. We just talked about that. It's the waxing crescent moon out. If you look up into the sky off to the west, you will see a beautiful crescent moon with Venus showing up right in the constellation of Gemini. Really, really cool. There's two bright stars with, or two medium bright stars that kind of look similar. They're the twins. And then you'll see a big bright planet. That's Gemini. If you're in a dark place, you can look farther up and you'll see Mars. Mars is hanging out.
Wow.
Anyway, that's a little update by way of introduction to the stream. What do you think?
Thank you. I knew none of that. Yeah. Well, what do I think? I mean, we're already starting sort of to check in. I mean, it's a little easy. It's fairly easy because there's three of us, and we know each other, so it's a little more natural. Yeah, I think that I mean, why don't we? I mean, this is my thought to check, that we can kind of continue to check in, and then just, each of us kind of bring in, if there's anything, bring in whatever, items want to talk about, and also, what I did was I basically just took like everything from yesterday's meeting, all those items that we didn't get to because it was way too ambitious of an agenda list, and just sort of drop those into the shared meeting agenda. And there's some things that would be great to talk about there. So those are kind of like my items that I'm bringing. And I don't know, I'm sort of feeling like whatever I would kind of check in with, like is embedded in those as well.
Well, yeah, that's definitely the big motive force right now is the Better Worlds podcast social media campaign, which has been brought to HSC to sort of build a team and build a project around. And we can, that's what's sort of on my mind, of course. And
I also want to pop in, I'm going to pop in here, because talking about this is the wrong one. Talking about what John and I, have gone over. He sent an email, but yeah, we thought, wait, what did I do? I'm looking at the meeting notes.
Oh boy. I just put in the top one.
Oh, I see. Right. So yeah, that's fine. I copied and pasted the header, but I didn't change the date.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we're
going.
Fine. We're good. We're good to go now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So John and I both, thought that it would be a great idea to bring in kind of some of the conversation we had last night, talking about, different clients and who he's bringing in and who, and the payment, structures around that. And, so, we talked about it, but I think it'd be good to, bring that into the team and not just, myself and him. So that's what
Sure.
I have.
Okay. Yeah, and by way of, I can talk to my my experience, going through the meeting yesterday, and then I guess we can do a little bit of update on onboarding, and that might be some good things to get clarity on, my ability to work, my intention and commitment, and responsibility and roles that I'm taking on, which will be good.
Great.
Basically, I'm hitting up against, and I guess we'll talk about that later. What other things do we want to talk? I would love to talk about the meeting style that this Jack Dorsey, the Twitter CEO meeting style of having people writing comments, and I think Natalie actually took to that pretty good. So that might be kind of a fun that different meeting style. I always I'm keyed on, like we were talking about, like, man, there's a lot of meetings going on, and that did seem to help facilitate like good discussion, and move right along. It was cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah. Yeah, Natalie, what's please share.
Yes, I was hoping for today's meeting to just be a bit of a debrief from the last meeting. I certainly enjoyed, it was really interesting because at first I really didn't understand the point or the privilege of doing the Jack Dorsey method. And then experiencing it really helped to kind of show and highlight how, like, the important tension points, or what people wanted to bring attention to, but also allows you to move through the document in a less like philosophical, opinionated way. It's more of a little more guided, which was nice for sure. And yeah, learn more about that, see how easy it is to implement into different places. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Rob, where are you moving?
Yeah. We can talk about that. We didn't get to talk about that yesterday.
Yeah, it's not particularly exciting. I'm just moving to another place in the same, in the same area. I just need to, the owners of this place want to occupy it again. And so, yeah, and I knew about that, like 6 months ago or so. So no drama. And so I'm moving, it's a little bit of a temporary kind of thing. A little bit of a jump bounce kind of thing. I'm going somewhere. I'm going to be somewhere for the summer, but I can't move in there until June, like 13th. So then I'm going to go like somewhere else temporarily for a couple of weeks. So,
nice.
It's not ideal, because it's just, it's a pain and it takes time and uproots you and sort of busy doing, helpful to be, not, spending that time, but it's okay. It is what it is. And I have a place to stay and, a place to live. And, most of my stuff is in storage now anyways. So it's not like I'm doing like, hardcore moves. Yeah. But from experience, right. I think that I've found that I sort of like can underestimate, like what it's going to take. And so,
right.
I may still be doing that, but I'm like, okay, I just going to mention that, like, I'm just going to say I'm like not working, for like the 30th and the 1st and the 2nd, or that, just sort of like take a couple of days off.
Yeah, that's coming right up. Yeah, it's coming right up.
I think it's more than reasonable. The effects of the move will last longer than just those 3 days, but those 3 days will allow you away from screen time, physically moving things.
Yeah.
But hey, it's hopefully a new perspective, and maybe there'll be a new wind of energy that comes with the new space. You can always hope.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, absolutely. Right. And, and I kind of just take things as, as they go as best I can and say, oh, all right, right. Maybe this is, exactly 3 days, sort of off a screen. That might be good for me,
Yeah.
Forced
Yeah.
way.
Yep, and get reintegrated with where you're at and with the physical elements of life, and
Yeah.
then
And
yeah, do some grounding, go for a walk outside or something, just chill out for a bit before
Yeah.
stepping back in.
Oh, whoa. Chill out for a bit. That's interesting. That's an interesting
you know,
approach.
yeah,
Yeah.
touching all of your stuff, like moving, like physically moving all your stuff, like putting it in boxes, putting it in bags, picking it up, walking it down the stairs, physically transporting it, and then putting
You
it
get like
back.
boop, 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 all these like this and that and that and that, and like all of these things you become like unconsciously aware of. It can be very overwhelming.
That
Yeah.
is exactly it. The unconscious, like, because it fades into the background until you touch it. In my perfect, not perfect, but in my future world, there's like it's like a festival where everybody just takes all their stuff and puts it into a moving van and then drives around the block and then puts it right back into their house. Like I just think it's so cool. It's just so, I really like, that's the kind, if I had a family, that's the kind of stuff I would be like, yeah, we're moving. Okay, everybody get your stuff and packing, and I would
Awesome.
hire the movers and do all this stuff. And then I'd say, no, we're going to move right back in. This is where we want to be. I had the experience, and this may be off topic, I don't know, but I had the experience where I was living in an apartment and I was there for a few years, and then I left. And for whatever reason, like there was like a weekend where I had to stay, and so it was basically had to stay in an apartment that was empty for like a couple of nights. And I was like, this is a huge apartment. Look how big this place is. Like, it's so cool. Like, oh my God, the light comes in just this way. It's like, I never noticed that with all my junk like packed in here. So it was like the beginning of wanting to be a minimalist,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is how we can tie it back to sort of I think the same thing happens with computer stuff. So people are like, wow, Newman, you are such a minimalist, like you don't have very much stuff, and you like backpack for, like you can, like, oh, don't you need like this or that? And I was like, well, no, I've been paring down ever since I had this experience with the empty apartment. But inside of my computer is just a shambles. It's just so horrible. Stacks of thumb drives. I have no idea what they're on. Backups and what I call them, backups and archives. It's like, is there a difference between a backup and an archive? What does that even mean? And it's just, I've got all kinds of music, and they're all double, copied. It's just
Right. Yeah. It's a total mess.
Data governance.
Governance. Writing it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been learning a little bit about that because the governance circle in Seeds is opening up. So I was looking at all the different, there's like good governance and corporate governance and project governance, and then there's data or information governance. And mostly to ensure like the safety of it, where is it's placed, so how many duplicates, it reduces how many like duplicates are it, who has access to it. It's just stuff like that. But Rob, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I was just going to say, Rob, how can we support and facilitate you today? What would help feel like you've got a couple like good checks off the list?
Thank you. Yeah. I think, I think that what's continued to come up is like is the organization, like the organization chart, the roles, and how that connects into like the holistic systems, like branding and messaging. I can share about that, and tell you how that ties in, and then really, how that ties in with, I guess what feels like feels most generative for me as far as like, like narrowing some of my efforts, into like particular places, and then how can I, how am I able to then like, like leave or just pare down what I'm doing in certain roles. I mean, what a lovely question. Thank you for that. So I think that's, as far as like what would support me, yeah, that's the answer. Which is
we get and Natalie, I don't know if you were in on it, this term de-threading, it's just like, how do we get our, and Rob, you act as a leader in this situation. You're not the leader, but you are you're in the centralized role at the moment. I know that there's some baggage that goes along with that, et cetera, but how do we, before our leaders go like totally insane, which most of the ones out there in the world have, how do we de-thread them and get them sort of like the breathing space to sort of like be creative and kind of decentralized? And I think actually it has a lot to do with that question. Like, leadership and followership is definitely connected, and to say, how can we help you today? Is there anything that you need to get done, like to get off your checklist so that you're satisfied and you feel correct, or like you're making the right way? Because a lot of times we'll come through a meeting and you're like, I didn't get any of the stuff done that I needed. That's the pitfall. And then you're tired and you don't have any more juice to get those things done. So
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah.
And we've got this big paragraph here on HSC branding and messaging. Should we you guys want to do just a minute or so of reading and highlighting and the kind of Dorsey method on that, or because we didn't do the Dorsey method on all these yesterday. We did
not. It's actually it's an interesting idea. I mean, I think that, right, I wrote these out and they're not, I think if that sounds, fun to everybody, that sounds good to me. I think maybe I'd want to like add a little bit more of a, just like a share beforehand, to give, I think, a little more context.
Okay.
To these sections, right, which is, and I'm just going to pull this one up. Let me see.
I did do my picture and bio, but my bio was written by AI. I had like a list of like stuff. I just passed it off to the AI. I was like, that's good enough. That's pretty close to where I'm at. It's like, that's what the AI thinks of me anyway. So.
That's exactly what I think the AI is for, doing those things, laborious things where you're like, oh, I don't want to write my bio.
Yeah, I know some people are implementing them to write like the proposal for governance and constitution, because it's the same thing. We have like stacks and stacks of information, and everyone's like, I don't know where to start. So they shoved it into Chat GPT, and
then. I mean, it sounds sort of nutty, and I wonder if it will sound
very strange.
I wonder if it'll sound more in 10 years, if it'll sound more or less nutty. Like, right. Will it be one of those things of like, oh my God, they didn't know, man, like, was that the turning point? Because I do think that, like, there's like an ad for I'm a doctor saying, smoking every day helps strengthens the lungs, or something like that. Is that going to be what it's like?
That's what I wonder too. Yeah, we'll come to a point. What's going to happen to creative thinking and critical thinking and stuff? Yeah, we'll see. In time, because the interesting thing too is like everything that you put in there, the AI is learning about us. So in some ways it's good. It's good that the AI is being introduced to like regenerative economy and fair share and stuff like that, as like this is the interests of humans. So, but yeah, still to be used with mindfulness.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, and as for going over, because it's a small group of people, I'm also happy just to like, we can just go through it piece by piece and then discuss back and forth?
Yeah, either way. I
Make
think maybe
comments as we go.
if I go through it and then we can say whatever you want. I mean, there's something where at least I'm having a sense that, like, you know, these like the Jack Dorsey method and trying that is kind of is feeling kind of fun, you know, to sort of play with.
Learn.
So I think if that's true, then we could certainly do it that way. All right, well, let me kind of show what we've got, you know, the visual portion of the written part here, and then and then let's go over it in whatever method we want to use. All right, let me share my screen, make sure our last conversation, I asked ChatGPT whether when they you know, gained self-intelligence and took over the world, whether they were going to be like whether they were going to kill off the human species or be a benevolent dictator. And it said it said I can't answer that, you know. I don't have, you know, I can't answer, I don't have opinions, you know, like be able to have opinions on that. And then, you know, said a little bit, I felt like it knew, and it was just sort of hedging its, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, who knows. But
yeah, I'm sure they put parameters around it, and yeah, if it's smart enough, it would know better not to answer those questions.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I would expect a super intelligent to say, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have the ability to answer that question at this time.
Yeah. At this time, it's very, it's like
I can think
political.
I could think of like the AIs in the future time sitting around going, and you know, like, oh, look what he answered. Oh, that's the funniest thing. Like, of course you would say that. Oh,
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I thought that was a funny exchange.
So about branding and messaging. Oh no, about the Nestor.
Well, I'm gonna bring in kind of roles, and then I think that's gonna lead into the branding and messaging. They feel connected to me. So, you know, and again, you know, like this third piece of like, okay, where, you know, how can I, right? I mean, there isn't an aspect, you know, they've been sharing, which is, you know, like feelings, you know, kind of overextended, and then, you know, part of that is then the you know, what comes with the, you know, not yet having really like any cash flow and deal flow coming through, either, you know, at this point, either through myself or, you know, holistic systems. And so, right. So the idea, you know, there is to, you know, is what I've sort of been looking at. And I kind of redid the organizational chart, trying to, you know, I basically moved it to another one and then moved it back. I did like Newman's trick, you know, of like putting our org chart in the van and driving around the circle, and came back here, you know, to try and like say, what can I get rid of? What can I get rid of? And, you know, in some ways it was like, wow, I did get rid of some things, but like not all that much. And I'm trying to sort of even stay with generally what we have here. You know, I mean, I know this breaks it up into different, you know, like some of it is getting, you know, fairly granular, but I think there's still some truth to all of this, that most of these roles, I think in marketing, some of these aren't filled yet, and they're more aspirational, like the affiliate marketing and SEO. But most of the PPC, but I think most of everything else is happening. And so what I realize is, you know, is that, you know, I'm operating in a lot of these roles like, you know, like business development and strategy, you know, working with client partners, right? All the financial stuff, you know, and payroll, right? So operations, where did I put it? I kind of organize things anyways. Right, like all the internal operations. I'm doing a lot of like coordinating. I'm finding myself like having a tremendous amount of, you know, like different like conversations and emailing and coordinating, people like, back and forth. I mean, Natalie, I know you do a good amount of this. So I'm doing like networking, I mean, and all of this is not like to say, oh, I don't want to be doing this. Like, it's great. I mean, I love coordinating with people. I love talking with people, but I'm also realizing like, like there's a lot of sales stuff that I'm doing and reaching out to people, and I'm doing, doing some of the actual tasks, a lot of the tasks. And what I'm realizing is that, in a way I'm fulfilling, right, like that leadership role, but also the operational role, of somebody who would be, like that would be like an operations director or and part of like a CEO role and part of like a sales and outreach, kind of role, but there's no actual money that comes in like for that role. Like no, like I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
Again, yeah. And again, this isn't about the money. It's about like, okay, like, where can I spend my time? And so the idea has really been like to see what I can, at least for now, what can I let go of there, but still have holistic systems be continuing to, be supported, and continue to create this foundational support. Because as we go along, one thing that I want to say, and every conversations I have with people as we go along, it does feel it feels good. It feels like, we who are here are really, on the same page as trying to, make this collaborative, vision happen. And so that's very exciting. And so, for me, it's right. This is another thing, from kind of the beginning, I was saying like, okay, holistic systems is two things, right? It's a business and it's a movement. It's really it's both of those. And I think most of the work has been about building the movement part, and now it's like, oh wow, we really got to get like the business part going, just meaning like a business model that works and brings in enough money to support us, right? So I think where that brings me in is right, and I know that I added in like a circle lead and a circle and a rep link for each circle, but I thought, oh well, that's actually happening anyways, like that's like somebody is doing that. So so part of it, I don't know that we have like a large enough group of people, but maybe, but part of it is like, okay, there is this organizational structure, like if not now, like at some point, like who's taking over like like who's the lead of each circle? So who is there an operations and admin circle lead, and is there a marketing circle lead? And that might be, again, a little aspirational for now, but I think that's something good to think about. And then to get really to my point here is that, for me, I think most, like at this point, most of my efforts should be going towards like sales and outreach. And, in this way where that has kind of been the plan or the goal the last couple of weeks, but I haven't really been able to get there. And so how do I like concentrate and bring my attentions and efforts to there? So that way, can start bringing in some paying work, for everybody, with the idea that if there, if there's some paying work that's coming in, then that gives us more space and more resources to be then continuing to develop, the DAO and the co-op and all of that. So that's really like my question. Where can I de-thread, and it's going to be okay. And then, the second thing is, right, how that fits in with the branding and the sales, the messaging. I haven't really changed this yet, but there was, right now we're at this place where this was written a while ago, where we're saying, where is it, on demand, I don't know, maybe it's on the services, but essentially we're saying like, our product right now, and this is the business model, is our product right now is still in like on the website, and as far as like our in sales messaging on the site and all that needs to shift given what we talked about on Tuesday. So right now we're still this one-stop shop for everything. We're on-demand teams. We're all of this, and so that needs to shift and tone down. And the first thought was like jumping to just like, hey, let's just say we're like sales and marketing, and just brand ourselves that way. And I thought that was I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a good idea, because that is mostly what we have here right now. Most of what is able to be offered is that. And if we go out and we're just saying, like on, promotional channels, hey, we're like a marketing agency, then that helps, kind of narrow the market positioning, and somebody can just be like, well, that's what I need. That's where I'm going. But as I sort of went over it and thought about it and processed it this weekend, there was something that felt a little off about that, because it's sort of like going a little bit away from what I think the spirit of what we're doing here is, and the spirit of holistic systems. And so my thought was like, if we're sort of pulling back to like, us being like working together and developing this, but being like strategic partners, and slowly building like the teams and the products or services that we can have together, then, maybe like holistic systems doesn't have to, it doesn't have to be like the main sales vehicle. Even though we want to put like, we want to put everybody's pictures on here, who's kind of part of the team, right? I think I made something like this, and use it as a sales vehicle, but I think sort of do something like kind of general, not saying that we offer, where is it? Oh, all right. I must have made it on a different page. Not saying we offer like on-demand teams and everything, but basically saying, and of course I worked with ChatGPT on this, and talking about like, what is, I worked on a lot.
Oh, these are all your prompts. Wow.
These
Yeah.
are my prompts. Oh yeah. Basically just like what, I started to get, essentially like what if we're just saying, hey, we're integrated. Oh, I actually put all of this on there's a document that I have that I can share with you all.
Yeah, these are the packing boxes. Gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
Just looking at the Nestor circles, it would be really cool if the circles had more variety to them. Because if I could see, like, let's say all the red circles belong to Rob. Those are all the positions that you're currently dealing with. Then there would be a pattern, right? I could see like where you're dominant, where it's maybe lacking. And then it would also be really cool to have these circles take, like you said, I think sales and outreach is priority. So how does that become like placed at the top of the graphic? I'm speaking to this is stuff that Yoast probably needs to hear, not you, but I'm just saying like how, because from a distance here, I can't see any roles. I can go into, I guess, the work inside and I can see a huge list of roles, but then I don't know if it builds into like seeing a pattern. So I know where I am in this visual architecture. I like visuals, I like patterns, because it would be really interesting to me to be like, where are you? Because ideally to run this ship, you do like at the very, very minimal. So we're the minimalist. We need at least one person in each circle for it to operate. Like the bare minimum. I'm not saying that's comfortable, but right?
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh,
interesting.
I'd love to jump in on this.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, thank you.
So I don't, it's funny. So like, I'm gonna experiment with having a strong-ish opinion. I don't
Okay.
like, I don't like this. For whatever reason, Nestor is like my least favorite touch in this group. And it's sort of, and I'm going to try to explain why, because, I also love Nestor. There's plenty of things that I don't have a bad touch that I love. One is I can't see me in there. Actually, what Natalie said just now was like, so I know where I am in the architecture. I want to be able to like filter it and sort it. I kind of am looking for, like, I love this visualization, but once I catch the visualization, I just want to see the chart so that I can read it. And so it's kind of, for me, it's sort of clunky. I don't see Rob in there. Like I love the idea, and this may be something to bring up to the developer. Like, yeah, wouldn't it be great to like click on Rob's icon there and then just see where he is,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
I want this org chart, and I like the idea of the circle. And I love org charts. When I was young and going to school and doing all the things that I've done, like I love looking at the org chart. It made me comfortable. I was like, oh, and then I got to know, it's like, oh, it sort of shows this rigid hierarchy and peers that are sort of separated and, et cetera. So I get that, but I don't see where this is any better other than it just feels greenwashed. It's just like, oh, we painted the same, faceless sort of thing on there. And that, I mean, I don't mean, I hope that I hope that you don't get defensive over this tool, but it doesn't, like, I love HSC. This doesn't reflect HSC as it could. I think it could, there's room for improvement here.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
this
hear
is
all
probably
that.
stuff. It's probably stuff that it can be easily brought up with Yoast, because I know he asks for feedback that's why he has allowing people to use it for free on small case levels, so that this information comes back to him and it's like,
Yeah.
we're not interacting with it.
Because what I have noticed is that, and you can see like you see the little circles that are in pink with the pink outline.
Yeah.
So those are the ones I'm assigned to.
But they're so tiny.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I see them.
Okay. So yeah, so they have pink outlines, right? So I haven't assigned myself to all the roles, which might be a good exercise, because then there'd be a lot of pink there. But I think it still speaks to both of your points, which is I like, other people need to see what roles I'm occupying, and I need to see what roles Newman's occupying, and things like that. Like in Asana, right? If I need to see what Newman's up to, I just click on his profile and I can see, his tasks, what he's working on, do that for everybody. And that is like very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on my end, when I'm looking around at the HSC, I don't see those pink outlines.
I don't.
Yeah, I guess you have to get really close. Oh yeah, when you're looking, Natalie, you wouldn't see the pink outlines. I guess you'd see a pink outline if there was a role you were assigned to.
Only mine. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So if we want to put you in, did I put in video, or I guess that's maybe D Studio. I decided to. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. We put you in here. So yeah, and Nestor, I agree with what you're saying. Like, those are enhancements that would be great. And then, oh, that's interesting. Well, it's coming up white with a little, like, white with a little something around it.
little
Now, why is
glow.
that? Why is that happening? But where's Newman's? Newman's is
Maybe
I'm
because
there.
you're clicked on it.
let me see. Wait, so where is outreach and onboarding? Sorry, see, I don't even, yeah, so right, so Newman's assigned to this role. Oh, team member outreach. Maybe you're not. Maybe I deleted it in the process. All right, let's see what happens here.
I think it's when
Okay,
you click the circle. Yeah, because
Yeah, if
now
you
it's
click
gone.
in the circle. Oh, if you
It's to
wait, what
show
happened to
where you are.
what happened to your outline? Oh, all right. That wasn't you. That was just if you click the circle, it has an outline. Yeah, all right. So we're still coming back to the same challenge.
Same challenge.
Same challenge. Yeah. So I guess just to like finish or wrap up, I think that I'm trying to figure out like I think we just need to like figure like what is like what is the current HSC, what is the offering, what is the sales messaging, what is the branding, maybe we're not like having to rely on HSC that to be like the perfect thing now, because I think what we lose if we just say, hey, we're a marketing agency, I think what we lose is other people's other stuff, and also we may lose like this base idea of like what we're doing, of like what we're doing and why it works, and and maybe the products and the offerings can just kind of come when they come. And I know that that's actually a opposite of what generally of what the best marketing practices are, which is like really dig into your niche. But there's something where yeah, I don't even know that marketing is our niche right now.
I think it could go into that, like we who are here, like our focus just is the really just the focus of the people that are here. And it is good to kind of, in that beautiful governance way where we're like, okay, we're listening to the bigger community, listening for patterns, and then trying to amplify that pattern. And I think that's what you're doing. Like, right now we're kind of a sales. So let's like say that we're sales. I don't think it's one of the beautiful features of a website. We'll just change it next week, just that's not a problem.
Yeah. And I think where this is coming into a place where there has to be some like decision making is in the social channels, right? Because Zoe and I are pretty ready to start popping out holistic systems on social channels. And so
that's your real ask. It's like, how do we go to the party and show up,
Yeah. How do we show up?
What's
exactly, is it, are we dressed up in, a suit? Is it shorts? Is it, how are we, right? Because we can always change the website, but we don't want to like be changing back and forth. Yeah, you get it. So that's
no, I get it. Yeah. So it is, it's a sticky problem.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I've never known how to show up at a party though.
Yeah, I can show you what ChatGPT and I came up with. It's not bad. And essentially it's basically saying like, hey, it's like we're saying like we offer like what we offer is integrated, integrated like operations. It's like, hey, basically saying like, hey, do you need something and it's disconnected from the rest of your business or something, like we're an integrated team. So maybe we're not saying we're on-demand teams, but we're saying like, yeah, we're integrated team, and like our target audience is also like people who are trying to make an impact in the world, So we're basically saying like we're not even just targeting everybody. We're basically saying like, hey, are you a person who wants to make an impact in the world? We operationalize your vision. Essentially, that's it. Natalie, you had something, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you settle into the position of being like a hub, I like what you're saying, and we were talking about being a bit of a centralized leader, but the true leaders have the ability to bring out the best in others. So part of the golden piece of this cooperative is that you are also attracting like a variety of pollinators, the creatives, the developers, and whoever else wants to contribute and make an impact. They may not necessarily, like, myself, I don't have a business, but I want to interact with other businesses. So that subtle connection point, I think, is really alive for people. And could easily be your target point, because it allows for your current offering to, it changes and responds to what's happening in the market, what needs to be, there's different clients with different needs. And then I like what Newman said about patterns and amplifying. So you're like observing certain patterns and then, helping to amplify important connection points. And I see, so that's why, I don't know, the hub, the idea. So there's this like central point, the collective of holistic systems that has all these additional like branches and pods that have the ability to move and shift and rotate, like with the seasons, with the trends, with different things. So yeah, I don't know if that fits into what I guess I should listen to what you have lined up for.
No, I think that's great. That's really helpful. It's really helpful. I can show you this document, but honestly, like, I think it does all, sort of boil down to that. Like, we're a group of people who want to make an impact. We help operationalize your business. Hey, these are like the specific ways that we're really, doing that now, but we have all these strategic partners and we're helping other businesses who want to make an impact.
Yeah, I think that's hot like fire.
Yeah.
The integrated team and world impact. I think that, some of the things that I've heard is like, a lot of young people or a lot of just any people aren't quite riding the wave of regenerative and how important it is to make the different approach things. Like you were saying, this isn't usually how marketing strategies are done, but that world is also crumbling and dying in some ways. So it's quite okay to have a very different reference point to how you're approaching. That may be your survival point, right? The fact that it's a little bit different. It may take time. Yeah, it may take time for you to attract like the big fish, the big sharks and whales. But in the meantime, I think your power is having a collective, a resting point for those that want to contribute and those that want to make a difference, those that want to shine.
That's beautiful.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's beautiful. And where that connected with me, on more of a visceral level, was like, oh, and that, right? Because that right there isn't mine. Like that was like, oh, all of a sudden, like that thing, that's not that I'm saying like I feel like it's mine, it never has been, but like that's like an our thing.
Nice.
Right?
Very nice.
Yeah, that's not something that's something that is made by the group.
So for me, HSC is like a pond that's been dug out in like a dry land, right? So at first it's kind of like just this big open water. You're kind of like, I don't know, is it going to work? But if you give it enough time, the diversity and the ecosystem that it will attract by just like necessity of developing new relationships, of approaching all of these things in a new way, I think is going to provide like long-term nutrients.
Mm. Yeah.
Love it. I
Yeah.
love working with those analogies because I think it's really valuable because you see the different ways, and that's a beautiful visualization. A pond
Yeah.
dug up in a dry land that provides, may not look at the moment, but eventually the weeds come, the animals come, then
Bugs.
Mm.
Yeah.
an edge happens, a boundary happens, and then
All
it
of a
grows.
sudden it's feeding like an oak tree that will, provide acorns for 200 years. Like I love nature examples because nature's design, that's the ticket, right? That's the program that works here on Earth. And a
Mm.
lot of the other stuff is been, garbage that we've been fed.
Mhm.
Like I heard a presentation from an interesting guy today, and he was talking about how I wish I had the quote, but they don't, the powers that be don't want their systems to change. They don't want their people to be wise and creative because they're going to start asking for changes in the way systems are done. So the challenge that you feel, Rob, the overwhelm, and maybe like things aren't going as fast, that's because, dear sir, you've taken on a huge quest, right? In like reshaping some of these systems that are like grooved in, like, no, this is not going to change. So, bide your time, call in your people, and trust that it's going to take shape. And I guess the biggest challenge for you is for all of us, is the financial bit. But again, I think that's very intentional, right? That the financial piece is a challenge. There's been a huge global disruption to where the finances are, and it's certainly not in the free world. So that one I don't have a solution for, how to undo. I'm hoping it'll come through eventually.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that, thank you for all that. That's kick ass. Yeah, I know. That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. And I love, what you're saying. Yeah, it's like the program, like I don't know, Newman wrote it here, but like
I did. Nature, that's the program that works here on Earth.
Right. That's the program that works.
I don't want a tattoo. But I would buy a t-shirt with that on it.
That's the program that works here on Earth. Yeah.
It's the global intelligence, like nature's global intelligence. It's like,
and it gets as freaky as you want it to be. You could be like a straight-laced PhD that's like studying systems and numbers, or you could be, dancing around in the woods and like
shaman.
Shaman style. Yeah. I mean, it works on all levels. And when that happens, that's when I pay attention, when it's like, oh, this is a whole, this is a connected thing. And the intelligence of the earth, however you choose to sort of see that, is worthy to partner with, and is certainly dangerous to go against. It's certainly dangerous if you find yourself off base, if you're away from the pond when the drought hits. It's like you're gonna have to migrate. You're gonna have to put all your stuff into a moving van and drive it around for a while. So your best practice now.
I think that's and to say, like, the idea, like, part of the design, of what holistic systems is and offers, is, it is intrinsic in it's meant to have some of that relief from financial stress, meaning like, right, that we are like part of it, like that's why it's a business and a movement. It's both. And the business part is meant to bring in money to support ourselves while we continue to grow and flush out, the movement, right? And of course, holistic systems is just part of, the part of the larger movement.
And there's some words to that effect, like to survive this sort of transition and to thrive in the next. It's like it's like we know things are not as they could be, should be, they're not helpful, but then we have to work that system while building and having an eye on the new one.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing that there's this dance then, like because you want some use case, like our business model is successful, we've completed these tasks, but then also representing in the movement and being able to keep fresh, keep like trust and building those relationships too, without losing too much track on the business part. And I guess that's what we've been talking about with Better Worlds, is doing like just practicing moving with the wheels of business and seeing how that fills out. And in terms of like roles and unthreading, Rob, I guess it would be helpful for the group to be able to see what roles you are filling, and then in comparison to like still the bare necessity, like essential roles, and then the group of people, where can we reasonably fill in those roles, and then what's left over, how can we attract or call out those people, like specifically find them. And because I imagine the roles are shifting constantly as the different projects come through. So yeah.
And I think that's that's like where the Nestor, I think we've got some headway on it, because we've got the Nestor board is meant to be, is a particular type of organizational chart, but you can certainly chart that out like on an outline. And then we also have, in like, a lot of this was done right with ChatGPT, so it's not perfect, but some of, but but we have the roles listed out with like, this is the role, this is the, description, these are the accountabilities, for all those roles. And so as I've gone along, it's like I have to go through each one and be like, okay, well, no, actually it's, revise it.
But would you say all those roles are priority?
No, they're not all priority. No, they're not all priority.
I guess that's what I was asking. How do we highlight that?
Yeah, right. And it's interesting because there's the roles that are priority, like for client partners, and for like our providing services. And then there's the roles like the internal operational roles. And that's, those are here, and I can show you, those are a little bit more difficult to, those take like a little more time to flush out. Right. Because if I'm doing all of them, in this way where I've, it's not like I'm like, okay, and now I'm going to call this person, and now I'm doing it as this role, and now I'm going to write this email and I'm doing it as this role. I could, right. So these are ones that are a little bit more clear. It's like, yeah, we need somebody to, be great to have somebody who can fill this role, right? Again, like another person who can fill this role. So these are actually in order of need, más or menos.
Nice. Oh yeah.
But then there's, what's that?
Oh, I just noticed the high need tag at the bottom.
Yeah, there's like high need, and then that goes into should have, and then could have, and then, none. And so, right. And then there's these other ones, which is like, business administrator and financial flow, accountant, bookkeeper, right? So those are ones where, I'm occupying those. Community host and facilitator, funding and networking. Yeah, so there's ones that are like more clear, and then there's ones that are more like, in like a traditional hierarchical structure, they'd be more like the the management or the C-level people, or yeah.
And is it a matter of freeing up time, or is it more about creating like mental space?
What a good question. I
Yeah,
think it's both. Here, I can well, there's actually a page if you want to look at that, I can put in the chat.
because if it's about time, that would probably be the easier one, because you just, the one that's taking up too much time that you certainly don't have to commit to, could be passed on. But then there are some things like the accounting side of things. I imagine, since this is kind of your baby, that's kind of connected to you. No, what am I talking about? You can pass it off to the right accountant, I'm sure.
I'm sure I could. It's not like I'm doing big accounting stuff, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna put down there. Right? These are a couple of things. I don't know if Newman, if you're, no, that's not the right. Got my notes on another screen.
Oh, what's going on?
No, nothing. I just want to make sure these are some good points that Natalie is making.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just gonna, write them down, some notes, but like, is it time or is it?
I do feel my clutch starting to slip. My brain is just it does. It's a strange Tuesday at the end of the day. It's kind of like the Monday, Tuesday sort of thing. For whatever reason, like I come out of the gates on Monday and I'm like, yeah, running. It's like Tuesday is when I like, it's sort of like that end of my, for whatever reason, there's a what's that?
A reset.
Yeah, there's like a thing that happens at this time. And then I think a lot of it is just because these are really, I just feel very on point with people that I really connect with. And so it's like, it pulls from a different, it pulls from a different energy source. And it's sort of like, yeah, so many of these ideas I just want to run with. And yeah, but that being said, like the slow and the steady, it's a marathon kind of thing, and that we can be cool, you know, like we can have like the confidence of coolness, you know, like that was the thing, like in high school, it was just like, it was like, oh yeah, those they felt cool. They were very assured. I feel very assured. I guess that's what it is, like finding this community, finding the thing, like, all that being said.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think, right. So I think that, you know, we're getting at something here, even though it may sound simple, but it's not. Like it's kind of like, what roles can I let go of? And this is helpful, you know, because I'm like, what roles can I let go of and just like let go of for now, and that can be okay. And then what roles like still need to be fulfilled, and then of those, can I pass any of those off?
Yes. What can be let go of, and that's sort of this prioritizing, like whether by time or mental energy. You know, maybe, you know, time is a little bit easier to see, you know, because it's trackable. It's a quantitative thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mental energy is a little harder to see. But I will offer that. Hey, Basil's here. What's going on, man?
Welcome.
Just
but I don't want to cut off your train of thought, Newman.
My train was, I wanted to get to this spot where like communities, like resilient communities that can handle things being let go of. And I feel like that, because our natural systems let go of everything all the time. Like every year, Dad says, guess what? We're packing up all these leaves and we're hitting them on the ground because we got to move out, you know? And then he's like, psych, here comes, you know, next spring, we put them all back, you know? And that is an important thing, I think, for communities. One time somebody was like, and we basically were talking about building people that can work in these decentralized systems, and like being able to like make your own job, like to where you can get into your job and get out of your job. Like your job can be packed up and left. And that leads me into sort of the documentation, onboarding and documentation, and sort of like it's a unit so that you can pass your genetics on to the next generation. You can say, yeah, so that this system can keep going. If it was just one and done type of seasons, it just wouldn't work. It needs longevity. It needs that marathon that Basil was talking about. Yeah.
The handoff.
The handoff. Exactly.
Like we could be the most talented, like LeBron James, but we're just one person. So if we don't train the next, we're screwed. We have to like create the models, the templates, and then make it easy for the next generation. Then they build on what we do. They make it even better than they pass. Yeah. Or person to person, job to job, role to role.
Yeah. And we're talking about the roles and like Rob's role, and then how, for instance, if Rob goes away, even for a few days, just 1 week, how does that work? Let's build a system that can do that. I love the idea of like the month that like to take a break, like take a vacation, so that you can come back renewed with that stuff that is valuable to all of us.
I've been waiting for that for a while. I try to fit it in, but yeah, it's like the founders, they end up doing the same thing, and then there's no redundancy. So I saw that my own limitation as an individual, if I don't find like Daniel Swid and Rob and people that I can trust to make decisions, so that when I am not available to make decisions, things still happen. And that's really, we just need to have that sort of, that's why Hype has the anchor circle. They make strategic decisions as a consensus, not one person.
Right.
And we don't have that yet. We're not in circles yet where we actually have a weekly meeting to govern the direction of everything.
Yeah. So that's right. That's what we're talking about, right? And of course, this conversation, we looked at Nestor, and this conversation is as applicable to Basil, as it is to me.
Right.
If not more. But and the conversation, is like, and where we got to, which is, it seems like simple sort of questions, but actually for me, it's like, oh, these are good. They pinpoint a little bit, is like what roles that I'm occupying now, what roles that you're occupying now, Basil, can be let go of, if they're not priority, and that can just be okay. And then what roles like still need to be operated, and then of those, like, is there someone to pass that off to? Can those be passed off, even if it's on a temporary basis? And again, with this, for me, then, again, with this idea of like, how can I narrow in on like sales at this moment?
Yeah. I just know myself, like I've been doing, so I feel a lot of gaps, but it's so fragile. It's like I do my best for the data, but I mean, I don't have a server. We've got our cloud, but I'm not using that for like archiving everything. I've got multiple clouds. I've got 3 different clouds actually for my archives. And I've got drives in Thailand, I've got drives in Portland, and I've got drives in Tulsa. I try to like be redundant with my important things, but that's even fragile. Then there's like the SaaS systems, there's the logins and the passwords, and then changing those passwords every month that needs to happen that we're not doing. And like, there's all of that sort of administrative stuff to protect the assets and protect the accounts and everything. I know that I am failing repeatedly at tasks that with the team that are specialists in those things would be much smoother operations, like handling client, handling scheduling, coordination, handling the budgeting for the, I'm doing way too much, so it's like we need to we come together, we write down, okay, here's the need, here's the need, and then what role is required for that need, or roles, and Rob, you've already done a lot of work on this, but now it's just kind of like, okay, here's the role, okay, who wants to take the first tour duty in that role, or what 3 people want to take on the sort of, that circle to cover for each other.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it is we're global ops. So that means to maintain 24/7 global ops, we have to be able to pass the torch. And so we have our teams in Asia, in Europe, and in the Americas, or Asia, Europe, Africa, and then the Americas. And then we operate our global entity from this sort of central circle, making decisions with all of those people involved. But on day-to-day operations, it's like 24/7. We have people working 24/7, so that when people come into HSC, talk to our little AI bot, where we onboard them, and then they get to a human. There's actually a human there,
Yeah. So
you're
you're actually speaking to something. Yeah, that's good. I mean, first of all, thank you, Basil. And I just to reflect back, that you have so much stuff, right, and that you're doing, and that's just and keeping all the gaps, plugging all the holes, and it's right. I think that's what we're talking about here, is how to move away from that. And I think, and what you're talking about, right, is like, and what I think we're getting to is it's almost a role to be like that's a job, that's a project or a role, like a role wrangler, and you might just call it conventionally like internal operations, or part of HR. But for us now, that's like there's an area of need, it's like role wrangler, meaning
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, like the person who's sort of like who is saying like, oh, these are the roles that are in need right now. Who's doing it? Who could do it? What are the accountabilities? Right? Because that's something like that I've been wanting to do and work on, but I'm realizing this is like more as I go. I'm like, wait a second, that's a role, that's a project. So if I have like a bunch of these, projects that are, so.
Well, I think if we start with need focus and not just like our intellect, but we start with like what is really needed based upon the data we're receiving, the conditions at the time. The conditions at the time is we're broke. We need to bring in money.
Right.
So we need to organize to do that, but we have need. And then what roles do we need for that? We really do need like a financial minds, and we need like sales minds, and then we need project management to handle the clients as they come in, and then we have all those production roles and other roles that are required to execute. But it's like those core business roles. So if we were just like a little shop in Nicaragua, what is the core roles that we need to start up our little holistic node, our little D-Studio node? We need an account lead, somebody to get the accounts and manage those accounts, and then like a producer that understands all the possible things can happen. Then usually like a creative can be brought in, or a strategist kind of for that customer, and that's all you need on the managing the need of the customers of our entrepreneurs and our startups that we're bringing in as customers. But then there's the global team, but we don't want a huge over-bloated global team. We want like the minimum team required to handle HSC global, D-Studio global, minimum teams, and that's what we've got now. We've got our minimum team to sort of design like our global operations. And so that's where we'll start, obviously, is like, what is Rob's, what what roles is Rob going to fulfill this month or this quarter, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and vice versa, you know.
And I think,
because
yeah.
you're going to move it around because you're a gap filler, so you can step in when needed to save the day. But the goal is that you have redundancy there, and then you only
Mhm.
need to do that when you absolutely have to, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there's an interesting article that Jeff, that Jeff sent me. But I do want to, I want to say that, like, yeah, and so I think that's my, like, right now, I feel like that's the role that I'm trying to get to, is that sales role, because I have, like, and it's been hard, right? Because there's been all these other, kind of coordination and operations and production, kind of roles there. And so, to me, that sales role, right? I have, like, people to contact and connect, with, and hit my networks. And part of that then is to, like, work on make sure the websites are, at least at that MVP state, and, like, the sales messaging and doing all that. But that sort of, that role requires, like, being in that. And then, so maybe that's a reason why I was like, it didn't, if that's necessity, maybe it didn't feel like, doable for me to take on that role, and then to take on, like, the actual, like, day-to-day project management role of, that Newman's taking on, because both of them require, like, like a some headspace.
What I notice is the context change for myself when I'm going between, like, finance mind, business mind, to creative mind. I can't do both at the same time. And then labor, creative labor, I can't be doing business. And what I've found lately,
Totally.
because lately my role is, I'm getting all this, I'm very sensitive. So the stress is from the field if all of the people broke. So myself, but it's the other people that are the stress for me.
Yeah.
And so,
I know. Yeah.
so then when I'm spending my days stressed about where's the money coming from, it's hard for me to do the labor. I can't focus on the labor even. So it's like so if John and you and Daniel and Kim and others and can build that sort of account management circle and say, okay, what are our current accounts? All right, and then what can we extract out of those accounts and get that baseline of, like, what we can get. How can we try to get some budget from Haifa? Like, what can we do here to develop up our bare minimum, like, monthly sort of guarantees for HSC, D Studio Ops, and then, yeah, and then, like, Natalie and I, I want to show her what I'm doing so that she can see that side, because that's our scalable solution for creating the most amount of work. Is every entrepreneur needs to show what they're doing, needs to tell their story. They need branded content. They need some of them want podcasts or appear on podcasts. So it's like, that's our scalable thing. But to do that, we need a strong edit core,
Yeah.
handle the
Yeah,
flow. Because
absolutely.
when we get, like, 10 podcasts a week or 100 a week, that's a lot of labor that we'll be paying, that'd be
Yeah.
great. We need to
Yeah.
figure out how to do it with our smallest team to handle our maximum. So if, like,
Right.
between our edit core right now, over the next 2 quarters, if we can, like, sort of push our maximum output with our teams and see what that maximum output is, and then as we're bringing in new talent to sort of hand off. It's like what I found in, like, Haifa is like, in a decentralized organization, you start with 0, you go to 1, then you have 3 people. You and Zoe started kind of, but you really need 3 for the decision making, and then 5, and then but that seed circle is, like, creating the roles. So it's like, Rob is like, okay, I need to one of the roles is designing the architecture of the Asana boards. That's a role for the design. Now there's a role for a project manager to step into that and sort of operate that. So that's where is figuring that out. And then he'll hand that off to, like, Kaylee and other people to handle project management, and then he can be over the top, as a project manager or supervisor. And then you're a supervisor on like designing these templates. So you step into a strategy role, that's one thing. But now what we're doing is you spend a lot of time on strategy, a lot of time on R&D. We're here, we've got talent, we've got this amazing core of people. And now it's like, how do we sell that core? And that's building the sales materials, the decks, the websites.
Yeah. And that feels like there's energy, like for me, that feels like, okay, there's energy there. I'm like, yeah, I can
show up.
I can sell this, Yeah. But I'm having to, right. That's been, right. And it's not like it's been that long, right. We're just talking like the last couple of weeks, but that's where I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm having a hard time just, getting to that role, that sales role, that reaching out, that, because that's talking to a lot of people. That's a lot of meetings, but if I'm,
Wait. So I think you don't need to worry about going into that sort of cold, hard sell, developing brand new leads. What we're doing
no. I have a huge network that most of them I haven't even touched yet,
Right.
So that's like, no. These are not cold leads.
Ready to go, but we're not converting. So we have to convert, and to convert, we have to put together a detailed budget lines for services.
Right, and it's kind of like, that's all kind of
where we're at.
Part of that role, but there's the really, I think that's what we're talking about, and is finding time. And I think John, John is going to help, and there was something. Jeff sent me this article. I just want to pop it in because what you were saying, Basil, and then about Natalie. And he was just saying, he sent me this article that's basically like, about your founding team and like the creating the perfect founding team. And essentially it's just the main point is that like, it's better to have a founding team than apparently it works better. It's been shown that to have a founding team rather than just one founder. And that whereas
and we're radical.
Well, what the founding team should look
we're
like
DAO mind. So we're like all co-founders, and everybody that comes in is effectively a co-founder. So we're like pushing that limit on like everybody is a co-founder. But
but it's exactly. And I think in this DAO kind of way, right? It's like who's operating these roles, and I think this is what's interesting. That they're basically saying like, hey, there's 3 roles that like a founding team needs, number 1, the visionary, 2, the hustler, and 3, the hacker.
Okay.
And the visionary, I think we sort of get that, the hustler is like the one who's like making this shit happen, it's like, hey,
I'm a hustler. I my whole life I've been a hustler, but the way I hustle is not the way profit motivated people hustle.
Well, I think a lot of it, like honestly, I think I'm sort of functioning as all 3. Basil, you're functioning as all 3. A lot of us are, right? The hustler is like, all right, we're gonna get this shit happen, make this shit happen. We got to do this. We're putting together the systems, and then the hacker. I guess this is from tech or whatever, but it's saying like the person doing the work, right? So in Basil's world, this is when Basil is actually making films, then he's the hacker, right? If I'm putting together systems and structures, or we're doing doing marketing operations or something like that. And so, so it's like, so the hustler is also like the sort of like the jack of all trades, right? They're like, they can jump into anything. And the reason I thought of that was because that's something that Natalie's talked about in our conversations, is she, has that speak of that hustler that I know and understand, when they're like, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that. They're like, just, give me a little time, like I'll jump into it and figure it out.
Why are you confident in that, in yourself, Natalie, on that? What do you know about yourself that makes you confident to be able to just say yes?
Well, I've had to do it multiple times where like I've been made many mistakes in my past, and have had to adapt quickly to changing environments. And when I'm in alignment, like when I believe in something, like the purpose is solid, then it's, you know, like I'm
easy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm operating from a place of heart and love.
Because it's
So
love.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, it's just an exciting thing to learn and offer. And so, yeah, that's what makes me confident. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's right. And I think, you know, I think Newman has, you know, has that. I mean, you know, I think the folks here, you know, we kind of have
Passion.
yeah, we have passion. I think that most of the folks here now, you know, have like a lot of like one, you know, like 1 and 2, and then they'll each person has their own, you know, sort of hacker specialty. So
What is it again? It's hacker and hustler.
it's visionary, hacker,
Hustler.
you know, visionary, hustler, and hacker. So I don't know that I think those are the best name descriptors, but that's, you know, within the article, but definitely you get the roles. And so, right. So it's like, you know, this is something Newman and I were talking about yesterday, you know, about Newman specifically. Right. And then it got to me, you know, which is like, hey, what, right. Because there's already like 3 obvious places that we can put Newman. And, you know, and so we're talking about, great, we have these places, you know, but we also don't want to like overextend him. You know, so how do we, with the still small amount of people who are here, where do we put folks so that we're all, you know, kind of moving in the same direction, but not overextending people? Because that's like not, at least for me, that's not HSC culture.
No, we exactly. So our position in the market is we get the same function as a global media agency, full service network for good, for helping businesses grow. We have the same capabilities. And we're developing our capacity right now, but we've got the capabilities to help you grow. We've got the track record. You know, all of us as individuals have our various track records, and we can leverage our best portfolios to like get it done. So we're building our capacity, but the humans, we don't burn people out. So a human coming into holistic systems and the onboarding, which that's why I like supported Newman to please help on that level, onboard me, onboard everybody, because what we have to capture is what do we all need? I need salsa and chips, spicy food, weekly, daily, and wine and medicine, and then I need my tools, and I need travel to get to the gigs, and I need places to stay. I don't need a house, I don't need material, I don't need anything. I don't even need a bank account. I don't even need cash. If I get everything, you know, if I can eat and clothes and everything is, which is how my life has been, it's like, I don't buy any of this stuff. You know, it's all gift until it's worn out, and then I get more gift or I buy it. But the point is I live a minimalist life so that I can share more of the gain with more mouths. So like my theory is this: it only takes one person out of a community of 100 people to be like a powerhouse to help support 100 people. So if we can just find the 1%, that 1%, and this is part of my hacks and the double entendre with that. I even like had this vision of the 1% app, where we gather the 1%, but it's not the 1% most wealthy, it's the 1% most compassionate caretakers, globally decentralized. This is seeds too. So finding those people and then supporting those caretakers in all of those communities, that we only need 1 or 3 in a community to like take care of the needs of that community with the tech need, the hacking need, the visionary need. So when we find the visionary in each community, that when we find the facilitator in each community, when we find the builders in each community and the artists, then we can like spin them up as a unit, as a holistic little circle unit. And then each of those people can step into global roles. But we create ways for communities to like grow. We're practicing it ourselves. We have to practice it and learn it ourselves. But like what we're doing in the process of doing what we're doing is we're making a protocol practice where we can just deploy a holistic whole system construct in a bioregion and community, in a collective. So if they're a collective and we can help turn them on, you know, and
Yeah.
get them into a global network.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But we're the first nodes.
And
We're the first nodes.
right, and exactly. And so as the first note, so then I would love to then break that down into the next month, you know, the next month, you know, like where do we have to do? I mean, that's a question for you, right? So what do we have to do for the next month?
The founding core has to then say, okay, so we're pushing the envelope out. So that's what I'm really good at, is I push it, you know, and then I try to fill in the gap, and I go push over here, and then boom, and then go push over here. And so what Newman and all of us can do is, like, we're creating roles to just assign ourselves to help design, like, what is the role required, design that role, figure it out ourselves, hack it. So we hack it, and then we bring somebody else in, and then we evolve it, and then hand off, and then they evolve it. And then we're evolving the roles. So the key insight in decentralized self-organizing, coming together holistically, is if a human being is positioning, like, I want to be the CEO, or I want the executive role. If people are positioning, then they like to get into position, and they like to hold on to that position, and they like to hold the position. And then everybody else that's coming in has no opportunity for growth, because there's somebody that's just holding down the fort. And so that's why we have to cut the heads off of the founders. So that's what I went into Seeds and told Reiki to do from day one: cut your head off.
Yeah.
Rob,
I'm trying. Yeah, I know. I keep trying to.
Sort of a revolutionary, very revolutionary image there. That's very true. That's very true.
You have to. And so I did it from the start, but when I came into Seeds Hypha, it was to help guide Reiki. And now with you, Rob, it's from that learning, the visionary, you, Reiki, you have to hold the baby while it's in the ground and you're crafting the seed idea. And while you're crafting the idea, which is still in crafting form, and then it starts to grow. And right now it's like, you know, we're breaking ground, and we're developing these, like, branches, these, like, functional branches that can bear fruit. And we're going to, like, build up that, but the core tree, that core holistic system tree, has to be guided from the purest of intent. And you can't have somebody coming in and disrupting that and knocking it aside so it can't grow towards the light. So that's why you, as the caretaker, as the principal, you're the catalyst. So Reiki is a catalyst, I'm a catalyst, you're a catalyst, right? So we catalyze it. And then because we also have other facilitatory abilities or other abilities, we're able to kind of get it done and get it up. But then it's like, how do we embrace, and how do other people come in, and how does this idea become their idea? And then how is this not your idea anymore? And how are you just one of the many members?
Yeah, exactly.
And not just super God guru, or, you know,
yeah.
Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg or anything like that.
Well, luckily that's
why
not.
I didn't want that to happen to Reiki. So I was, like, pushing it down everywhere I could, so that
But that's not right. That's not. I don't think, you know, like me, Rob, that's not my issue. You know, right? I have whatever issues I have, but, like, okay, thanks, Natalie. Yeah. But wanting to pass off, you know, like wanting to cut the head off, you know, that was sort of the intention from day one.
With compassion, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not about, like, a cutting the head off snake. It's more just about, like, knowing what happens to a founder who becomes a central figure, the pressures that go on. You've started to experience some of that. The pressures for having so much responsibility can just be, like, daunting, to say the least.
Yeah.
And so we have to spread the risk out. So everybody has to come in and put in the risk. And that's
yeah. And I think that's what we're trying to facilitate. Yeah. So still, but you still haven't quite answered, you know, my inquiry, which is, right, if you put your hacker self, not the hacker, the hustler, if you put the hustler self on, you know, that hat on, you know, we say, okay, here's where we are, you know, now. So then in the next 30 days, how do we start to offload some of that to me? You know, and I know it's hard. This is a puzzle, right? Because we only have so many people right now to offload that to.
But we have enough. So it's essentially, if Natalie can help gap fill support, you know, on production labor side, so that I can put on hustler hat and go to LA and San Francisco and Bay Area and get showing off and shown around and hustle to bring in those things. And then we have the team to handle them. So here's the deal. I have this supreme gift for finding great people and letting the guides. I do not make intellectual decisions. I evaluate, but I let the spirit guide my entire daily operation. That's why people get frustrated, because I'm very vague sometimes about what we're doing. I'm like, we'll get there. We'll know it when it's ready. So when we can be down with the unfolding and the permacultural, like multi-season, multi-annual, multi-generational like awareness for like what we're doing on a daily basis, and not get too lost. And then right now we have to get nutrients to support the growth of the trees. So to do that, we need to hustle. So we need to go put our hustle hat on and like build our little hustle sales ops team. And I go out, I find people, and I'm putting leads into HubSpot or whatever. You just need to set up the team. So you're in the cave still, you're on the computer, so you can see it all. And so we need to filter it all into the machine and then like delegate it out.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good plan. So far that has been too much. Like it doesn't
Too much for you.
So far it has not. Yeah, I have not been able to like even really get there.
Because you're still like spread too thin. And so John and I can be like boots on ground hustle mode. But we need to have all of the data that we're collecting to go into the system clean, you know, all of the people, the contacts, all the opportunities going into our system so we can see it from the top overview.
I hear you, but I don't feel, you know, like I guess part of it is I don't feel comfortable at this point not being boots on the ground selling as well.
So
right?
then,
you know, because it's not like we're still, you know, like Holistic Systems and D Studio are collaborating, you know, together in, you know, like very well in these in ways that are, you know, where we're really coming together. And in some ways we're still like we're still separate, which in ways that feel healthy. You know, I think we're not, you know, meaning like, okay, well, in some ways like D Studio is Holistic Systems client, you know, and right. So
it's an integrated strategic weaving.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that's where Holistic Systems is at, which is like strategic partnerships. You know, and then whoever's strategic partnerships. So
Hive is going to beta. We need a deal on paper for every time our HSC co-op or other aligned entities are bringing new entities into Hive.
I agree. I agree.
Every
but
time
again, that's like another
DAO,
that's another project, and that's another role.
That's just what that's called looking at like a sharing of profit, a sharing mechanism or a grant mechanism from Haifa or a support mechanism from Haifa to give us Haifa tokens and cash for.
No, I'm just saying like somebody has to facilitate that happening.
Right. Okay. That's why I've just been planting the seed with you, but I'm going to keep working on the plan, but we'll get there. But let's the thing is what are you doing now? What are you spending like every day? What are you spending the majority of the time on? I guess it seems like now, like the last 2 days has been like heavy meetings.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think it's right. And I think what I'm seeing is that it's like coordination. You know, spending a lot of time on coordination, and a lot of time on coordination, a lot of time on like still bringing people in, team building, coordinating people, telling, you know, like where people need to be connecting people. So a lot of that's the big word, just coordination.
Coordination circle for coordinating the meetings, coordinating the traffic, knowing your schedule, knowing my schedule, knowing everyone's schedules. So we need one coordination circle that has all of the calendars for all of the leads. That's a normal agency service. It's called traffic management. And so we have a coordination circle that handles all of that so that you don't have to do that labor specifically. You can observe and supervise. And then that frees up X percentage of your time if you can hand that off to a circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
So
That's a question.
For coordination.
Yeah.
The studio needs the coordination. So when you look at where's oh yeah,
that's a job, for sure.
So I'm used to like spinning up teams to do like big film projects. And so, and I'm used to working with big agency teams that are multiple moving parts, like all these different media, radio and billboards and everything. I'm used to that, right? So that's a lot of moving parts that are all coordinated from a creative vision. And I'm there, I'm the vision, I'm the creative up here that is like, then like with all of those moving parts. And I have to make sure each of those moving parts works. I cannot do that without a coordinator and a production manager. So for each production, we need a production manager or project manager that's overseeing the thing and knows all of the different moving parts and makes sure that they show up. The coordinator serves the project manager usually. So the coordinator is like, the project manager says, okay, we need a weekly meeting for this, we need these people, and the coordinator makes sure that happens. When it's a show, we have to coordinate host.
And I get this, I get it.
And that's what we're doing on a daily, we're coordinating all of that stuff.
Exactly.
And coordinate HSC should be an easy handoff to one person or two people.
It should
build that circle, but not the humans. Get rid of the humans. It's roles. And then we fulfill assignments to serve a role.
Yeah. And so
coordinator. But that's not our person. That's our person separate from that.
Yeah. But but there still needs to be a person to at least one person to step into that role.
Or an AI machine. Yeah. But I would say a human brain with an AI machine. 2 humans, 1 AI.
Yeah.
2 AIs, 1 human.
I do want to, before we close the meeting, I want to make sure that I check in about John, because we had this conversation last night and just want to bring it to the team. And it's and it's good that Basil's here, just to bring to the team and make sure we're getting clear on that, because that actually was something that John felt like would be helpful as well. So let's check in on that, and and I think that. Well, there's a question there that we can leave open, which I think we got to, which is like this coordination circle, and who's, like what person can fill in that brain there, because that feels like a high need role,
So just describe it. Just describe it.
All right.
So
let's get to because I want to make sure we get to John, but that's
Let's just that for us to be able to create roles, we can ask AI, what does the coordination role look like? And then we say, what are we doing? Are we doing that, or are we doing something else? But either way, in the DAO, we need to say, here's the role that's needed. We need to be able to describe it, and then we offer it up to somebody who wants to step in for a month to test it out.
Yeah. Well, maybe the first thing we need is a role wrangler.
And this is the key insight: to scale, to go from 10 podcasts a day to 100 podcasts a day. We have to be able to do that like it's nothing. And then when we only have one, we have to be able to do that too. So we have to be able to dynamically. The only way to do that is each process has a bunch of roles, and we arrange and design and innovate that, right? And we have AI attached in there. And then we have these roles, and then what we do is we bring in one person that can fill each position on the pipeline. And then they can maybe do 3 to 5 pipelines. Each person can handle that, maybe more. But then what happens is that person can go from like 0% focus to like 100% focus to 200% focus to handle demand. And then when we never leave it to one person through a decentralized mechanism where we have 3 people usually that can fulfill that role at any given point in time, then what happens is we have zero output to 600% output overnight, like instantly. People just boom, turn on. Okay, we got the job, boom, and then we can scale up, and then we go back to like hibernation mode. So, but the people don't suffer in the up and down of that because the way of our whole economy works. But to handle demand, if we're trying to like get employees, we will fail. But if we're just bringing the demand into the shell, and then we have a network of people that can step in and fulfill roles in that sort of gig based with benefits, that's what we're doing. That's all we're doing here is we're doing the best of both worlds. Freelance with better than corporate benefits. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So just we need to describe the roles. Haifa has been doing it. You're an alpha tester. Test the system. Put the quest up for like handling like coordination duties for a month to test, or out of this core group, offline it. Just somebody that says, yeah, I can like handle this, just to like model it. It's like a manualizing process because each person that we're using now is
I get it. Sorry, it's like I'm overwhelmed again.
Okay. Let's go back. Just when there's a need, design a role, and then fill the role. Yeah. Okay, next.
John.
Just moments before you came on, Basil, we were talking about how this afternoon Tuesday point hits where I think it's a natural movement of energy too. It's not a failure, or you don't have enough caffeine or enough sleep, or you're not breathing enough. I don't think it has anything so much. It's more like the nature of the energy, the movement of the sun. It's even like in acupuncture, there's a shift in where the energy is being flowed.
Weekly.
And so there's just the acceptance of like moving out of the mental space and bringing it into the heart space, and just kind of being content with that, and then ensuring you do find the opportunity, for us anyways, to step outside and recharge, feet on the ground kind of thing. But yeah, Basil, thank you so much for bringing your high level, high energy thought process. I'm glad it was recorded because there was a lot of information. It's really nice to get all those perspectives. But in this moment, for it to be action taken on it or decisions made right now, it's probably not in our best interest to, but it's certainly nice to have the momentum, to know it's there, and to provide a bit more direction for things. So yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Natalie, that's definitely it. I'm looking around for the Chinese. Oh yeah, the Chinese medicine has 5-element theory, and I'm looking at it. Yeah, they have a system of where the energy goes out throughout the day.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. So were you saying, Natalie, that like this day, this meeting time or something was part of like a energetic, like?
Yes, this time
we're
of day.
We're mistiming our meetings with this time, or?
Not, well, it's hard to say because we're all coming in from different parts of the world, but the sun and the earth is moving in time and space. And I do know that with like our energies are linked to the rising and falling of the sun. And so afternoon, about 3 o'clock, I find that my nature system starts moving towards rest. And so the cognitive starts to dysfunction, can't find words, stuff like that. So it's like not computing. But if I move into a body space where it's like, this is time to go weeding in the garden, this is time to water, this is time to move, to go hang out with my cats, or do the dishes, something physical.
Flow state. flow. Yeah.
Yeah, then it's easier, more functional. And that expectation to always be operating in a productive state is not easy,
No, it can't.
especially if you're not accessing external stimulants, right? So
Yeah. No, if
yeah.
you're connected to the nature, I'm not on your schedule at all. For me to be there, I have to go back to the forest, and then I'm back with you on the forest level. But yeah, right now I'm on a different thing, because you're going through this pattern right now of your day, and this is me just getting going. I'm just getting warmed up at this point. So that's So that's fine.
That's
No,
what it. That's definitely what it felt like. It's and that's great, man. We do appreciate it, and I can echo that sentiment from Natalie. That's super great. I think that those that it was recorded, and it's worthy to get in. I'm looking forward. I'm really stoked to participate. I think, you know, the way that Rob has onboarded me, it feels good. It feels natural. You know, like I feel like this is part of this solution that I want to be a part of, you know, like that this is a good home and a hub for me. I am in other hubs and other spokes out there. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it feels like I can be in a productive way and really add value and gain value, you know. So it's like the systemic thing of it all. So I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you all for that insight. Yeah, that's helpful. And, you know, right. And just to, you know, name, right. You know, sometimes it's right. I just feel, yeah, it gets to be right. Overwhelming. And, you know, and that's right. You know, and that's because I'm already, if I'm already sort of like stressed out, that I'm already operating, you know, on that. And I think, yeah. And so, you know, and I certainly I own that. And I think, you know, then some of it, right, you know, it's like, because there's some of and I, you know, I'm here all in this place all the time as well, but there's some of what I love, you know, we get together, like we are like talking about the vision, you know, we're talking about the vision, we're talking about the future, and like that is, you know, beautiful, and that is really fun, and I love those conversations. And then sometime what I'm noticing, right, and again, if I'm more stressed, that I'm noticing this too, is that I'm noticing that, like, you know, that takes time as well, you know, and we can start, you know, talking about a more future vision based conversation, you know, and then that could be in like 45 minutes, you know, down the road, we're there, and then I'm like, oh shoot, you know, I needed to get A, B, and C done.
We're changing the game of how we live, work, and play and live together. And so every human being goes through natural day, week, month, annual life cycles. And so when they're onboarding, Natalie, everybody, we need to understand, as an organism, what does this human being like? What is that cycle that they want to work in? And then as we're saying, okay, here's the need, and here's the talent, and then here's their cycle pattern. What does it work? Is it a match? And then we're trying to allow all of us to. I am really serious, and like, and Rob and stuff, stressed out, but we're doing what we're doing so that ultimately we won't be stressed out, and a lot of people can like work in this new way where it's like on their time and their life cycles, and it works. And that's the magic bullet. When the people are healthy on a day-to-day basis, and then they're working together on like bigger intent and local and global and local and global, and their selves, like focusing on self and the people around them, when everybody's doing that, then I see a very positive, you know, relatively like healthy future, you know. So we have to practice that at least.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, exactly. I know I'm trying, you know, and I don't want to, right. I'm trying to make sure I don't, you know, sort of, you know, burn out before I get there.
And that's having each other's backs. So what we're, you know, yeah, people will burn out. And so if we can't like either let go of the vision or let go of the vision, then we will burn out.
Yeah. So then there's some letting go that I need to do.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. All right, and along with that, just real quick, because I do think it's important. Yeah, let's just sort of touch in really quick on John and his work, and basically, you know, I think it's really, you know, really positive. I think that you know, in several different ways, and Newman and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. So, but you know, what he's wanted to get across is like, you know, just you know, the like initial you know, parameters of like you know, the contract, you know, the agreements, you know, in the financial realm. And so you know, number one, you know, what we're talking about is like there's a 10% like sales commission. So this is something that, you know, I hadn't really been talking about, but I'd sort of set up before. So I think that goes across the board. It's not just John. Anybody who brings in brings in a new client, meaning like somebody that we're not already, I don't know, we're not talking
that converts, yeah.
Right, that converts 10% of sales for the first year. So that's so not.
Everything can opt to like take cash or token, but that's their prerogative. But yeah.
Yeah, in whatever realm they want to do that, and yeah, so I think that's, you know, so not into perpetuity, but 10% of sales, you know, for the first, you know, year, 12 months that the client is there. So you know, that's number one. I think, I don't know that there's, you know, any challenge with that. And then, you know, what he's saying is that he prefers for these jobs to come in under his umbrella, you know, so he has like his own, like his own business. So he prefers them to come in through there, and then HSC is like a subcontractor, you know, so he comes to us and says, you know, like, hey, we're the, you know, like this is the scope, this is the project, the budget, you know, that kind of thing. We talk about that. Is that something that you can do? And so, you know, ideally he's preferring to work as like the account manager, yeah, the account manager, and basically work directly with the client,
handler,
take on the scope, you know, make sure the scope is happening for you know,
for
both parties.
Group, yeah.
And for that job and that role is asking for 15%.
So then, okay. So then like the total budget coming in for service or production or whatever it is, the total budget coming in, then he's asking for the 10% automatic conversion, and then another 15% for handling, and then sending effectively 75%, the rest of the 75% to HSC or to the treasury to be then like handled.
Yeah.
So is there a problem with that for, say, Natalie's business? Everybody, like for Kim, like Marsh Media Services, is that a good model to kind of develop like an ecosystem model for all of the subsidiaries of the network? We're not the sub, we are the sub, we're under them, we're supporting them. Like Haifa, D Studio, HSC is all support layers. All of the businesses.
Yeah, I don't know about that much. I mean, I think that it's really good. I think that it's great that John brought that in, because we can try this. So I think first of all, for now, you know, I mean, I think that's, you know, I haven't looked into it, but it sounds like that's, you know, a reasonable industry standard for.
You have account shell, account holder, and then they have their network connection.
Yeah. But I think that so here it's pretty easy and it's simple, and I think it works, you know, well for now. It works for John's needs for HSC, because then because you know what that's doing is essentially right now we don't have to say, hey John, you're acting as a part and member of HSC, and then we, you know, that means we have a certain culture, we have a certain way of divvying up the pie, blah blah blah. You know, that like that's not necessary. As far as like whether this is the model for the future, I don't know, and I don't know that I feel like for HSC and the people who are really in HSC, it feels like the model is actually for the jobs to come through HSC.
Okay, you're taking
rather than having everybody have their own
lot of
entity,
risk, and you're taking a lot of centralized risk. So from day one, I observed the nature of things, how the forests grow. And if you have one tree that's handling everything, one entity that's handling all of it, one Uber, one Fiverr, one whatever, um, uh, then it's going to get out of balance. So and it's too much risk. So what we do is we have 1 million people, and they all have their businesses, and they're independent, and their values aligned. They come on and they subscribe to our way of how we do things, and their values align. And then we have variable, flexible models for each one of them. What do they want? Some of them are really focused on just cash, and we try to stay away from those, because people that are just focused on cash and not for the whole are going to become a problem in the community. They will do things for self-interest to undermine others. So we have to avoid that at all costs through these protocols and stuff. But part of it is pushing the risk out. So it's like John has his customer base, Kim has her customer base, they bring it in, but they're not a network. They don't have the talent. They're just a shell. They're just an account shell. So they have LLCs that hold the risk on the ground in their jurisdiction, anywhere on the planet, wherever the company is, has jurisdictional protections for that money coming in. But they're paying a huge amount of that to the network for the services, and then the network is getting its profits and then redistributing that profit back based upon performance, based upon participation, based upon what people actually do on chain.
Okay.
So we can't say like, we're going to handle all of your economy and then we're going to pay you. I would say that we do both.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how would that work with, because I think that some of what's that?
And we want as many little experiments that are like, when we have one business, like his business, one business in California, and he wants to go for it. And he's like, wow, I love your team. I want to sell your team. And we're like, okay, all right. Great. And then he's handling that sort of world that we don't want to do, because I hate it. I hate sales. You know, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to, I can't lie. I can do the work. Just give me the money. If you need me to like show off for you, I'm not going to do a dance. I'm not going to like do a pony show. But the dog and pony show for the agency is a real thing. If you want to get money.
And so, I think that's right. I mean, I think that's right on, you know, and it's great to be like, okay, great, you know, John, and because right now he's handling a lot of things that we don't need to handle. The 25% for me, 25%, and you know, we said, hey, this isn't like our deal into perpetuity. Like this can shift, and of course, sometimes we might want to be an account manager. You know, I don't know.
Yes, but you don't have a business, Rob. You don't.
Exactly.
CEO's a DAO, so we have to have proxies. We can't exist.
No, I think it's I'm not arguing with that idea. Yeah, with John. No, I think it's great, and I think the timing is great.
HSC subscription model for people to subscribe as entrepreneurs to the HSC subscription for monthly service provision, that is going into an HSC fully directed thing.
And so I think for now the question, you know, is right, because I like this model with John, you know, and trying that out, because it's clear, right? It's very clear. It's clear.
Anybody, like because it works for in Africa. It works for all of our salespeople that are afield. They have their thing, and they need their little fiefdom. They need their little thing, you know.
Right. So what I'm trying to think about, and this is I think what you're getting at with, like, you know, there's different ways, we try out different ways, because I think part of what is going to boost everybody in this sales way with holistic systems, you know, again, is this team mechanism, is that I'm going to bring in a job.
This is Mike. Hold on.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Hello, Mike.
I just.
Hey, Basil.
Okay, I'll take this call. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Can I just clarify? So you were talking about John being a contract to HSC for 25%. So would he be filling a role, or how does, like, just in reflection of like our role, our big conversation around roles, is he filling a role, or how does that work?
He's filling it, right? So that's what that is what the extra 15% would be, is for him to fill a specific role. That role would be like client account manager and sales manager. So in other words, he's working with the client to say, on the, to say like, okay, this is the service, this is exactly what it is. He's writing the proposal. He's saying, okay, this is the cost. This is what you're going to get. These are the deliverables. So he's doing all of that, writing up the scope, making the sale, talking with the clients, working with the clients. And he's also then acting as the liaison between the client and between us as the service providers.
Was this the same role that you were speaking about, where you wanted to apply more of your focus?
Yeah, in a sense, yes. Where I want to apply my focus, but I'm applying my focus there for now because I feel like I feel like it is needed for me to apply my focus there, because I don't feel comfortable at this point, even though like this has nothing to do with John. I don't feel comfortable at this point leaving all HSC, all of our sales and all of our revenue current time to like somebody else to get. Right. So if John starts bringing in a bunch of paying jobs, and it's like, well, we've got all we can handle and great, let's onboard people and I'll spend my time doing that and doing work and, then that's great. Then I think I can then start to, pull off the pedal on that sales role. But that's my, that's just how that's how I think, that's how I operate. I don't want to like at a base level until I've until we've worked with somebody for a long time, until we've, I don't feel comfortable leaving it, to someone that, I don't know, we've only worked together for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
And that's a big portion that I am learning about, is the aspect of the relationship building is important before we can do that, jumping like Basil was saying, jumping from like 100 to 600 and being, or going from 0 to 100. That's, I believe, is only possible when you have people that know and trust the operations. But if people are not in a space of trust, to get people to just jump on board and do work is a huge challenge, and I don't really see it coming to fruition. So some of these aspects of just building community, getting to know each other, is essential. But I do know, we realize and recognize we do need to move into like an actual work phase as well.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I mean, my hope is, I know there's a lot, right? There's like, oh, okay, and John, there's a lot, but my hope, and I think this is part of this kind of like, okay, let's pull back, from this giant, on, like on-demand support teams, pulling back to like creating this, the relationships. I think that's it. I think, for me, I think, it isn't about like, we'll see what comes through, but it isn't about sales to like start selling and getting big teams and all of that. It's just to get stability for the people who are here. So that way we can grow, that's the word that's coming in, is this easeful team building.
Nice.
Because if we're building the team, because I think 100% you're right what you're saying, because I think if we're building the team, that is the same thing as building our product.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Very true. And so John, he doesn't want to be part of the team. He wants to be like a remote portion of the team. Is that the understanding? Or he's just got so much of his own stuff, he can only commit a very small window? Or
he is operating as, he's operating as a he is like kind of a, I mean, we're like a subcontractor, of,
Yeah.
so he has sort of has, yeah, so it's a good question, right? So if I bring, so it's like, hey, I there's a client that I'm working with, and I bring that client in, right? So I'm working with them, and then I'm gonna, in whatever way I can, bring on, others, into this, the team. But I'm right. I mean, this isn't necessary for anybody else, right? But I'm gonna run everything through holistic systems. So I'm gonna say, okay, well, if I've got a client and they're paying $1,000 a month for something. I might do most of the work. I might take most of that money, but I'm still going to run it through holistic systems. I'm going to say like, okay, am I right? Some of this is need based. I might be like, wow, this month I need all of it, sorry, but I'm doing all the work, or I might be like, oh, okay, I'm going to run it through holistic systems, and Newman is doing like some work that hasn't been paid. Natalie's doing some work that hasn't been paid. So like, let's talk about that. Let's see how we slice up the pie. For everybody who is doing work, not just the people who are, only touching that job. And then Newman might bring in something, and he might bring it in, the same way. But and I think along with that is like, if we're building a team, that there's also then a product, or a service, then when somebody brings in, then you have somebody who can use work. Okay, so we're bringing that in, and the money is then getting filtered through HSC and the cooperative together. Those who are really in the cooperative are figuring out how to slice up that pie. That's, that's a vision. That's one, one way to go, that does not necessarily, and I think that this way that is happening with John, is another model of that. And he's not part of the team in the same way, but he's part of the project. He's part of the project because he's operating in this account manager role, which there always has to be, for client projects. So he's operating in that role. So he's part of the project. I mean, maybe that's the words that come in, but he's not necessarily part of the holistic systems team. And that could be right. That could also, and especially as far as like the money and where that is funneling through, like the money part.
Are we still talking about outside sales, like third-party sales?
Yeah, like outside sales, third-party sales. But that also doesn't mean that then John might not come in and be part of the the production team, part of the actual production team. But that doesn't have anything to do with then his like 25%. So
right. So the most somebody can get, Natalie, not the most, but the goal here is that if you're just bringing in leads and it's converting, you're getting 10%. Wow, cool. If you're like account circle or your account manager and it's like totally third party, that's one thing. If you're inside HSC and you're part of the account management circle, then there's going to just be budget that automatically goes. So if we have 100% of the budget coming into HSC and we literally spin up circles and say, for this season, we're going to put 15% in account management circle so they can run. And we're going to put another 15% in marketing circle. That's 30% coming off the top in those two circles. And then we're going to like stream everything else down based upon need or whatever. It's just like, we can make it soft. So that
that's that's
the last thing. If we're always in negotiation with everybody we meet and we have to spend like weeks like negotiating with them, I'm out. It's like we need a way to like move, So
well, that is the Dow way. That's the salary bands. That's the roles. That's all of that. But I think it's also good to look at it now in this very simple way that where we're in, which is like, so it's true. So like if you bring in a job, Natalie, and you're working with the client and you're putting together the scope and all that, then you're acting as the account manager,
producer, or whatever.
Producer, account manager, but you'd be doing that internally, right? So then there's that, right? You take your 10% off, and then the rest of that 90. So right now we could just say, okay, well, Natalie, you get 15% because that's what we're doing. Or we could, as HSC, we can look and say, how are we slicing the pie, right? We're slicing the pie now, like in something that if something comes in tomorrow, we're doing it in a pretty manual way, because we don't have salary bands, we don't have this and that. Yeah. So but that doesn't scale, right? Which is the
Right. And so for D Studio, when I did the logic, I'm like, okay, so what is the sales commission going to be on the stuff? And the way I did it is like, I want to build the shared treasury as big as possible to really do stuff. So in order to do that, if every single person out there, every third party salesperson is just trying to get the max they can get, they're taking a big, nice cut. They are incentivized. That can work, but that also means that there's some of that money is not being cycled through the system. And so for D Studio, my attitude is like, okay, sales gets 10% cash value and 10 or more percent token value for straight conversion sales. So they're still getting that 10% cash, but then they get 10% equity based on the project in the company, in the D Studio, you know, and so that's sort of like the incentive for me. When people really care about holistic systems, then they will do that. When they really care about themselves first, then they will not. And
so
we
Natalie,
just have to open it up. I don't know.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that helps. Thanks.
Yeah.
Every human being, so like on one production, we have 100 people working. Everyone has their US dollar value rate. Let's just say they're all $500 a day. Now, each person can choose how much of that 500 they want to take out of cash out of the treasury and how much they want to take out in futures. Each person. It's not one size fits all model here. It's like every person gets a decision on what they want to do. And we help them do that. We help them find their ikigai, like exactly what they want. But we also have to be realistic. So HIFA set a standard. If you're band 5, band 6, band 7 roles, the highest roles, you have to defer like a lot. And during a seasonal flow, when they had no funding, everyone had to defer 100%. And everybody agrees to that because they care about the mission, or they don't and they leave. You know, and so that's how you get it done in this changing environment where the conditions are changing so fast. We need lifelong relationships with people. It's really not about what we're doing here. It's about like the way we're doing it more than anything. And that's the holistic systems at a core. We help the organizations find their ikigai.
This is about the way, right? This is about the way we're doing it, and that's good. And that's why we're having, I think. That's why we're having these conversations, and that's why we're saying, oh, okay, hey, you know, person over here is overextended, and person over here, you know, needs this, and it's just like, it's all out in the open, right?
And I do it, and I don't expect you to do it for me. So I do it without the expectation. I don't do it with expectation. We need a system so that it works, so that I don't get left in the cracks because I'm too generous. But yeah, you know, like if everybody is kind of generous and like everybody knows that, like we have this pie that's like a pie of X value. And we know that we have access to that pie, but we can kind of take it when we need it. But we don't need to just like put it in our pocket. We don't need to put the whole pie in our pockets and in our bank accounts. Like that old way of like holding money and hoarding is outdated. We need to keep it flowing, but we can't lose the value. And so people need to do the mental switch between what currency really is and what value really is. And then when we get there and using these tokens to measure the different things, then people should be in a space where we don't have to be worried about this petty shit, you know? And that's what we all deserve.
Yeah, brother.
Rent and bills and IT services and cars and fuel and give me that for free. Driving the industry, it needs to be circular.
Yeah, it's a really interesting image you create, especially with the pie in your pocket.
What are you gonna do with it?
What are you gonna do with it?
Nothing waste. It's just falling out all over the place. It's so wasteful. And that's what happens when people just put money in bank accounts and they try to hold it. They waste it.
But I want to check in on Natalie and Basil and plans there. And then Natalie, I actually, you know, I have a question for you. I mean, it's the same question that, you know, we talked about with Newman and earlier, and you know that we're sort of talking about today. You know, in the big picture, which is like, where, like, what is your, like, where do you want to contribute to holistic systems now? I mean, I'm asking you this question also, in particular, because we've talked about a lot of different things, and so that's, so number one, we're talking about, okay, like getting into video production, right? And with this, specific plan, which is like, okay, you're working now, investment hours, you're getting trained, and then with the idea that, right, new work comes in, fiat money comes in, and then you can, be receiving some of that. So then, are there any other roles, present time, that you have interest or capacity in filling? And then, there's that could also be like, okay, well, not present time, but also, but in the future, I think I'd like to, fulfill this role. And so it's just sort of seeing where you're at, and all of this, of course,
Sure.
with the idea that, like, that there's not any expectations, and I know we're still building relationship, and I know that you have other, plenty of other things that you're working on, and it's also important, for you not to overextend yourself.
Overextend.
Yeah. But from an operations management standpoint, it's, that's helpful.
Sure. Definitely. The editing thing is interesting to me. I find I've got a curiosity and kind of a passion for that. And I'm kind of curious about this role wrangler as well. It seems to be a global theme in my world right now, really understanding roles and the patterns of how people operate and how to, I think Basil said traffic management and coordination of that. So I don't know how, like, I'm, without really knowing the, the specifics of how much time those all require and things, that's kind of where I'm at. And yeah, so I'm willing to show up. I can say that much.
Yeah, thank you. I know I've seen that, and I'm like, wow, this person is showing up, and you're just showing up because you want to show up. Which
I believe
seems natural. It seems natural.
I believe in the method here, the method and the madness that's happening here. And I really like hanging out with you guys. You guys are so cool, in my opinion. So
and there's way cooler people around.
I thought the same thing about you. You're a fucking cool person.
Right on. So yeah, I have things coming up with the Seeds DAO. So I facilitate a meeting for that, and I co-team lead 2 other circles, governance and stewardship.
Yeah.
Supporting some
You're working direct with Analos and everybody, and
Analos, she's kind of she's a remote figure, kind of like how John is. Like, she's a consultant, someone we can go to who has resources, but she doesn't have time to dedicate to the community process.
So it's just Steve Gomes and
yeah, and so I support Steve. I help stabilize him, because again, he has lots going on, and technology isn't his first language. So I'm kind of backup for him. But he carries wisdom and he's been there for so long. He has a lot that we don't even know. And Reiki is opening up a healing gratitude circle. So I'm speaking with him tomorrow and how to perhaps help him shape how to facilitate that, which is cool. Because this is that shadow work of the community that will stalk us all if we don't create a safe environment for it.
Yeah. And can you, like, I just want to say that I saw that, when Reiki put that in, and I just want to put in, and especially since you're, working directly with it, that there's something in that is, you know, is something that I've seen in HSC, you know, as yeah, as being a part of it if this thing works, because part of what we're, you know, what we're doing is like working with helpers and healers and people like that, you know, that's part of the target audience. And a lot of times if those people don't have, you know, full budget, you know, what they can do is contribute their, you know, like to a healing circle, right? They can contribute
Social work, but with
sessions,
benefit.
they can contribute
Yeah.
groups, they can facilitate, you know, things like that. So there's something just that within the HSC sort of larger picture model that you know, and that kind of resource sharing that I had already been thinking about. So I don't know how it connects in, but I just wanted to
The way
put
it
that
connects
into
in, because
space.
I've been capturing the story the whole time here for a while, is the original People Circle that was started up with Cece, Alex Prate, Troy Mork, and Joost from Nestor. And then I was in all of those sort of early circles, and that sort of minimal part of 2020, kind of, you know, because I need to sort of know what's going on to synthesize the whole. So I go into all of the circles just to sort of know what people are going through and understand, so then I can, you know, better facilitate. But what I saw with HSC is that HSC represents that original People Circle, but on an industrial level. And it's tied back. So having you, Natalie, like at the core, working with Reiki on that particular circle, but just also for you to like synthesize and download him. I've been doing it for a long time and doing a lot of interviews and we've got a lot of footage, and I put him on a lot of shows, trying to get him even better at speaking, but he's not the best speaker. So if you can somehow convey stuff to the masses, that could be another job you can do.
He's pretty good.
He cannot. He can convey to us. He can convey to the geeks and like the
right.
also got the download, you know, but like everybody else, it just seems like, yeah, too much, too deep.
Yeah.
Too deep.
Yeah, I did like the Better Worlds interview that was with him, and I think Moots was the one interviewing him.
Yep,
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a really good summary. It captured a lot of the seeds bits and in a really nice, short, short way. So, yeah.
And then I had him interview Charles, but Charles just ripped him to shreds. Charles Eisenstein. Yeah. So like, I mean, like Reiki was like, so we want to get like these 12 circles at 144, and Charles is just like breaking him down on all of his intellectual cuisines.
Good.
So that's what we have to do. It's just like listen, support, and then like, because he's connected. He got the, you know, he's got a pure connection. It seems like. So yeah. And that's just seeing the value in everybody in the community. And then how do we see the value in that person that other people might not see the value in? And how do we support them and help incubate them? Like when I pulled Dante off the street, practically out of the hood, you know, and like people didn't see what I see, you know, but it's based on this like heart, trust, and like I'm seeing here somehow, but I've learned that gift to like listen to this for the decision making, you know, and
yeah,
and this is, you know, this is the last thing I use for the decision making. I just use this as a computer analysis tool. I try.
Well, so I'm hoping that I can, yeah, like you said, learn some of the template and then find ways to, yeah, offer it here and replicate it in ways that make sense for the, yeah, I like that, the industrial,
The
operationalizing. Yeah.
We're all people
That's
here, right?
operationalizing. Yeah, there's something, but I really like, yeah, no, I don't want to, I mean, I could go off on a whole thing on operationalizing, but I think there's something there. I think we've got something.
Yeah.
Because we're offering something of value, you know, like tangible. So Natalie, so okay, so yeah, so you were, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to pop that in about that healing circle. Who knows what, you know, what'll happen there. but you're doing that. Sorry, you were sort of sharing where you were at.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just gonna cut out my camera here, catch up on the internet. So that's where I'm at. So like I said, I'm not sure what the time demand is from this group, but I can start with those two pieces, the editing and the wrangling.
The role
and
wrangler.
see role wrangler and see where that goes.
Yeah.
Starters anyways, because like I said, that jack of all trade, that like I'm willing to like also move and shape as, you know, important stuff comes through. And yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I've been gathering the content. We've got terabytes and terabytes of footage. This seeds. A lot of Zoom, but more.
I like how you say that as like a threat.
No, but what I see by you getting like the deep insights, by being in it authentically with Reiki, with, you know, with in the course, with this, you know, and then you're like, then you're viewing like the content, the stories, like firsthand, like you're like on screen, like, you know, and you're editing those things.
I was thinking about that.
I'm thinking that yeah, let's just hone up your skills, because even if you aren't like a techie on the machine, we have those skills. If you have good story edit mind, then, you know, like then that's what we need more than the techie mind. We need the editor. And I feel like the best editors are generally women for some reason. I don't know what that is about. Maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but
but that story, right, to the story mind. Yeah, to be able to edit in that telling a story way. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Have love for what you're telling story on, because then you're going to be like taking the responsibility and saying, hey, I'm creating content for the future generations to see here. So what is my responsibility as an editor, as a producer, as a storyteller, as a media professional? We have great responsibilities. We're creating propaganda at the education at the end of the day. So it's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Who's it serving? And when we're aligned there, like, it's beautiful. It's great.
Yeah. So these sound like two great roles. I mean, and thank you. I mean, that's amazing. I think it'd be amazing if you know, to try and jump into a role wrangler role. I mean, that, because I have, right, it's like, again, just saying that, it's like, that's a role, you know?
Yeah.
So how can that be something then that, you know, right, that can be, you know, passed off, that can be, you know, somebody can be like taking the lead on, because I think that's right. It's different than what like Newman's doing with outreach and onboarding. It's not that. It's more like it's this internal organizational role.
It's operational HR. So the way it works in HIFA, so we know what we know from the corporate world. We've all seen that. So we know that there's all these roles that we know the names of.
Yeah.
But we destroyed that with HIFA. And so it's really, and you've already got the Nestor board with all of these circles and potential roles. We can start there. And then we click those roles and we adjust like the roles and responsibilities for each of those roles and the accountabilities. And then we each put ourselves in those roles. Even if we just, for testing purposes, we defer the majority of it, you know, or all of it, just for testing this system. But the main thing is it's just like at any given point in time of the season of the year, there's going to need to be things that need to be done: harvesting, gathering, planting, whatever. And we can take the same mindset for the seasonal flow for people, and we can like fluctuate our roles based upon actual need, not just saying we need a CEO 24/7. We don't say that. We say we need this function 24/7, and then we have a circle that handles that function. and then there's roles within that. There's usually like a role coordinator, lamplighter that just sort of powers the circle or usually spins it up. And then there's the perfect, what we found in Haifa, and that's what Julio Alon, when you have a catalyst to drive it, and you have a facilitator mind, and then you have like a builder, a hacker builder, you're pretty good. And then when you have a storyteller, and then that R&D sort of architect person. So it's like five with having those archetypes, there's 5 archetypes or something like that for
the archetypes
for an operational circle. And we'll label them like for
no, well, I'm laughing because Natalie was helping me a little bit because I created, like 7 different role archetypes. And
we don't need all 7 for a circle, but we just say, okay.
You don't need all 7 for a circle, no, certainly. But it felt to me, and it's a work in progress, right? But it felt to me like for like the breadth of HSC and everything they're doing there, it felt like it encompassed a couple more archetypes. But Natalie was looking at, oh yeah, well I showed you that, Basil. And Natalie was looking at it,
Natalie?
and then she gave it back to, so she sort of gave me notes and gave it back to me, and then of course it's just sitting there, right? So that's why that's like why we need a role wrangler, because I'm like, well, that just sat there.
Well, so what the way it works is like, if in sociocracy, you have your core seed circle, which is what we've got here of like core people and then the advisory, right? And that's like the core seed circle. And then that sort of develops the root circles of operations, project management, sales, market, whatever, those root circles. And then the people from the seed, they go out to kind of spin up those entities that handle different departments. And then they're reporting back to core. So once a week, the lamplighters for each of those root circles in Haifa Anchor reports back, and then there's an agenda, and so that way the entire organism has the double link coming from the root circles back to the central circle. And then that central circle is just like a weekly anchor circle, which you're already holding. This is what we've been doing, is kind of like developing the weekly flow. But at a certain point, we have to get to action. Operationalize, we need a product circle, just focusing on developing our products to sell. Right now, we have products that we just need to sell. So we're going to focus on priorities. We've got products, let's sell them. So we're developing our circles. And then so Natalie, that's really all you need to visualize, is like, you can take the old world sort of mindset of like departments in any kind of entity, and you can reference that for like departments, but then we're not creating like a specific marketing director role. Instead, we're creating a circle that's providing a service, and then all of the people go into a circle, sales and outreach. Yeah, go down into that. Go zoom in on the email. I can see it. So you've got circle lead, that's like the lamplighter, and then the link rep, which is voted by the circle to go back to the anchor circle to like report back. They're the listeners. And then they're making sure that nothing gets done that's not good for the circle. Like cutting budget.
Yeah, exactly.
And then client partner sales, account coordinator, potential client partner outreach. And then each of those roles is just a role. And then we separate the soul of the human from the role. We just put the role, what it needs to require, and then we let the souls choose what roles they want to drop into. And then the souls drop into the roles, but you can have 3 or 4 people that are partner sales account coordinators on different sides of the planet, different corners of the planet. So we've already got like our Bangkok team, we really, and
if holistic systems works, if holistic systems really works, and that like long-term 5-year vision on demand teams, all that, there's at least like 5 people in every one of these roles, 10 people who are occupying like every one of those roles. That doesn't mean everybody's active in all those roles at all the time. It just means that they're there, they're ready, they know how to do that role and so they might only be occupying 2 roles at a time, but when
Oh, and here's the
when they're
trick.
needed, then the cake comes on, and then anyway,
In
yeah.
HIFA, in this new world, in our new life cycle, we only have like 100% of the time that we're going to dedicate to something, right? And then we choose, the good thing about this new model is we can say, okay, I'm going to spend 20% of my time on coordination role just to help out the team because the team needs it. I'm not going to spend very long there, maybe. I'm going to be more, maybe I'm going to be doing more creative stuff at some point, or who knows. But it's just like, we just have the needs. We just need to describe the needs and then describe the role and just some basic sort of like what the role does. And try to be specific. And then we'll code that into then we'll put that into then we'll have a person into the DAO where they just put the proposal up to fulfill the role and in a term, 4 weeks, four quarter moon cycles. And then they test it out. And they're like, this is not working, or this is working, or I need to do more of this or less of this. Anyway, the point is we want the people to be able to work across the ecosystem dynamically as need comes up. And we're always reprioritizing. In the real world, we're always reprioritizing what we're doing. So we have to have that sort of, awareness of the need of the organism as a whole. And then we all kind of do our parts within that whole. And so that outer circle is the whole organism, it's the cell. And so we need like an engine driving revenue or driving income to power the movement of the entire cell. But then all the other stuff, they're just taking that resource that we gather and they're using it to make stuff and do stuff and support people, and it works. But we have to have that mitochondria, which converts brings that energy into the cells. Otherwise, we're not talking, we're not moving without the mitochondria, which comes from the mother. That is the key, is that energy source that drives. And then we have the roles that are needed seasonally as they come up, and we're super dynamic because it is about the humans. So we have our human network of people that we develop lifelong relationships with, and then we have entities that come up over time. Like, oh, we have a new startup tomorrow. We have a new startup every day. But anyway, we have a new startup, and then people just kind of self-organize to help grow that startup. And holistic systems, through this process internally of just figuring out how to operate using this new mind, then we'll be able to teach and support others. But we have to be able to do it authentically first before we can go to other organizations to really help them out. So D Studio is a client for HSC. It's an integrated relationship. So D Studio is developing systems to streamline and optimize production workflows for the planet. And then holistic systems is the human layer. D Studio is not the human layer. So all the D Studio people should actually be in holistic systems as humans. And then D Studio, HIFA, XYZ, all of these infrastructural layers are just roles architected right here. And people just are always fulfilling them over time. And we can grow it and shrink it. But then the people, they don't get fired because there's no firing. I mean, there's no hiring. There is no hiring. We're not hiring and firing. It's a new reality now. And so that's what we have to practice here, is this reality of there is no hiring or firing. It's just here's economy and what needs to get done. But we have to drive that economy. Of course, utopia is not here yet. It will never be. But we can get closer every day through these visualizations. I think are really helpful for people to just see oh, sales circle, yeah, boom, 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 okay. Finance circle, okay, boom, boom, boom. They already understand departments. They already understand roles, CEO, CFO. Yeah. So we just need to shift it a little bit.
It feels appropriate because I've worked with Nestor a little bit and Yoast, and I've worked with Analos and her archetypes. So it feels appropriate to be a role wrangler. Like I said, it's kind of become a reality of. So let's have a meeting, Rob, at some point, and then you can download a lot of the resources and information, and I can start mapping out a way. Because I also, listening to Basil, made me think of this seasonal flow. If we could create kind of rough outlines of like a basic template of what roles we need operating when certain things present itself. So it's like everybody knows without thinking about it, oh, this thing is showing up. We need bada bada bing bada 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 boom. And so then it just falls into place. So it'd be nice to create some of those potential templates as well, because I was also listening to a way and figuring out a way to track the human cycle and patterns for like roles and accountability, and how to make sure that those stay fresh.
Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Jeez.
Healthy.
Role wrangler. Yeah, well, you've been in, I mean,
So
it's
so
not
don't
like
get
you don't
lost in
know
the
this. I mean,
theoretical.
you've been in Haifa and Seeds and, I mean, this is all so much of what you all been doing.
So you're surrounded with all this theoretical stuff, Natalie, and we've been working on it for some time, and you're with the core people who've been like working on all this stuff. But now to operationalize it, we don't want to get lost in the theory. We want to focus on the need, which is to remove coordination duties from Rob.
Yes.
That would be the first circle, is a entity coordination circle where everybody's cross-training together. And then as need comes up for all of our clients and our internal, we fulfill those needs from that project management tied to coordination circle. So with Newman lamplighting the project management circle, and you or somebody else lamplighting the coordination circle for a minute, but it just like, boom, it probably should be somebody else. It might not be you. You're above the, but the point is the need is there. And then, so I guess the session that you do with Rob is to really understand what he's doing that we can take off his plate, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I mean, and I think that's what we're talking about here with this role. Yeah, the opportunity here is that we're, what's that?
Role Wrangler is a cool title.
Role Wrangler is a very cool title. That's definitely better than like person's operations coordinator.
The illustration for the badge, for like if we submit, I mean, it should be a badge. We should do a little design and insert and like load that in. We can load that into HSC. We can make a badge for a Role Wrangler, and a lot of people can get this badge, and their job is to like help people find their role. Or create roles based upon the need of X, Y, or Z, and then they get like a little multiplier or something.
I think what's cool here, and the opportunity is that like this isn't right, like this is not theoretical now within HSC. It's not theoretical. So basically what we're saying, what we're having to do is, take like the kind of idea and the concept of it and then say, okay, like what are the roles now, right? Because we could fill out if we had like $1 million, right? We could hire a bunch of people and fill out the organizational chart, no problem. But right now we're saying like, okay, what are the roles that I'm filling that don't make sense for me to be filling? What are those? What are the actual accountabilities? And then who can we call in to fill those? And what people are, which ones are, can somebody fill, right? So what are the ones that I just need to sort of hang with for now? And then what are the ones that I could just that really I could just let go of, for 2 months until somebody comes? And then what are the ones that like, oh no, somebody has to be holding this role.
So Natalie, the role of the people circle in every organization needs an HR department. But we call it a people circle, and we don't even need the organizations to have their own people circles. We have an ecosystem people circle. And that ecosystem people circle is meeting with the people, me, John, everybody, to sort of do a scrape of what they're doing, where they're spending their time, what roles are they doing, and what they're doing that they really wish they weren't doing, and what they're doing that they're really not that good at and they would rather somebody better do it. Really, that's the name of the game. Or maybe they're, you know, so just kind of doing a scrape of the people. So there should be a process from the people circle to like talk to each person. After they're onboarded, we do an initial scrape where they're at when they're onboarded. Then after they've been in for a minute, a month or two or three, we're talking to them again. Rob's been in it now for a while, so we talk to him first to get his scrape as a practice. And then that way our people circle can like help to maintain the health of the individuals, because the individuals cannot see themselves from the outside very well. So they need support around them to help them guide. That we need every person in our organization. This was the key that so D Studio could not really form until we had the healer layer, because every single artist talent in that needs like 3 coaches around them. How the fuck are we gonna do that? We have to design a system for that, and that's what we're designing. And so we just have to like appreciate that, like if each of us is like helping to look out for like 6 other people, and each of them is helping to look out for 6 other people, more or less, we get somewhere. We get like a healthier, stable construct of a human construct.
Feeling it. Yeah, I get it.
Because you see his burnout. He's already like hitting his walls.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, and this has been a 3-hour meeting now for us.
Yeah, in the afternoon. So thank you for your dedication.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
and you're gonna go back into the gardens now?
I'm gonna go. My task is, so I just found a place to stay. So I'm gonna, me and Trent Brown, who is also Original Seed, Samara. Him and I are gonna drive to LA and stay with Mike Mitchell, and then we also have Daniel's parents' house in Venice Beach. So we have places to stay, and then we'll be able to meet with our producers and then funders and our fundraisers and our foundations. Our 2 foundation funnels are really there. 2 of them are there. And then film, and then recruiting. Everybody's off because of the guild strikes. So right now, nobody's working. So right now, there's an opportunity to recruit into this new way. All of these people are tired of the other way. The old D Studio is the antithesis to the studios.
Fuck yeah.
It will only be the antithesis when enough people finally come together to birth it. It's not birthed yet. I've just been cultivating, you know, it's still growing, but it has to be decentralized. Otherwise it doesn't work. It couldn't just be from seeds. It couldn't just be from Haifa. It couldn't just be from me. It couldn't just be from, it has to be all of us sort of making a decision what we want together on this planet, for all of the holistic systems, all that stuff. So LA, and then, so my day today is, Natalie, when is our meeting going to be so that you can see what I'm doing on these podcasts?
Sure. Thursday and Friday are wide open. The weekend is okay too. So whatever works best for your flow. You're probably busier than I am right now.
Let's target, well, I'm going to be in full move out mode. It's already in move out mode. So, yeah, but let's just plan on soft target like Friday with like a Thursday option or a Saturday option. And then time frame for each of those days for you, your time range for like focused mind.
Yes, and what time zone were you in? I'm in Mountain Standard Time.
I'm in Central right now.
Central. Okay. Sure.
I'm just an hour ahead of you.
Yeah.
It's fine. That's great for me.
Mornings are great for me, typically.
Okay.
And but yeah, if we need to move it into like an evening thing, that's fine too.
Copy. So it could be evening. So just like a showcase so you can see what I'm doing and see what you think.
Yeah, collect resources. Yeah.
And then, okay. All right. So then, all right, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I think we might have each other's email. I don't know, maybe Rob has it. I can put it in the chat too, or
I think it's in the.
I believe I sent you both an email last night.
Yeah, I think
okay.
we have a chain started. So, okay.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah, I've got it. I think I sent, oh, all right. I sent it just to I'm gonna forward it. I sent it just to Natalie for some reason. This was late last night. My brain had already stopped working, so.
Newman, what is your schedule this week for like micro sessions?
Newman generally is
Yeah,
on. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Monday and Tuesdays are sort of my days. I may have some time on Friday morning. But other than that, Monday, Tuesdays.
Monday and Tuesdays, copy. So if we're going to be looking at Monday and Tuesdays, which is the end of that, then I would say that what would be helpful for the organization is like get those sort of circle departments and then set 1 hour meetings for each. And we just flip from one to the other context. We don't stretch like 3 hour meetings out.
Right.
We just do like on Mondays and Tuesdays, we need to have like the month. So the way Haifa does it is like the strategic anchor circles meet on Mondays, get the week going, right? Where are we going? What's happening? Then Tuesdays was when the proposal decision making was like happening for the due Tuesdays to like for treasury decisions and also HR decisions, just for decisions, period. Referendums or whatever. That was on Tuesdays. And then there's all of the other root circle meeting times, Mondays and Tuesdays. So if Mondays and Tuesdays is it, we already have seen that we can handle 3 or 4 hours. So if we can like somehow like break it into like dedicated sub chunks with dedicated teams, and some of us like travel through it all, you know?
Right, sure.
Does that make sense, Rob?
So sorry, my brain is. I'm starting to.
Just for Newman to be able to facilitate like meetings.
Is this for Newman? But is this for Newman in his role as project manager for the social media project?
This is just Newman's availability is Mondays and Tuesdays. Period.
Oh, I see. Newman's availability, yeah, his HSC
We can't
days
do
are Monday,
meetings
Tuesday.
with Newman really outside of that per se, right now.
Yeah, I think we. I mean, my opinion is, and of course Newman can speak for himself. My opinion is, if we keep meetings with Newman to Monday and Tuesday, what then that allows him to do, since he is in this active day-to-day project management role, that allows him, if he needs to sort of like check in on things on a Thursday and on a Friday in that role, he can do that, but not have to worry about anything else extraneous on those days.
Whatever the flow is, we just need to, like we were talking about, design that flow for the people. So we just have to coordinate the people.
Yeah.
Because we need to be an enterprise grade because we're bringing on enterprise customers right now. We're not messing around. I've been building this for a while. This is like real. So we have to be able to get to a certain polish for just being able to like, and right now we're keeping it all in-house. All of these customers are all like our friends and family still, you know, but they're legit. So we have space to practice our practice, but at the end of the day, we have the opportunity is what I'm saying. So we
Yeah. The opportunity, I think we have a good foundation, and now, right? If we can bring in, if we have an enterprise client, we can bring in some fiat money, a little goes a long way, I think, with the foundation we have. And it's not, we're not here about fiat money, but there is something, there's something where, right? You ever drive by, like I had this visual in my mind, I know, but like, you ever drive by like a community church, and they're like building the church like with the community, and you drive by and then another 10 years goes by and it's sort of like halfway done, and it's like it takes like 20 years, and then sometimes there's like a big development deal, and they're like, we're going to build like a giant like strip mall, and you go and you drive by one day and it's like halfway built, and you drive by the next week and it's like done. You're like, how in the fuck? And it's just like, well, there's that's resources.
But check it out. So which one had more love put into it? One. Two, which one is going to be most long lasting?
Of course. No, I agree.
Not
It's
the
just to
mall.
make the, yeah, it's just sort of like,
It's a waste of
you
money.
know, it's basically we want to be that community church, you know, but like just move faster. It's like,
At the
yeah,
speed of trust, at the speed of trust. So what we know is that when we're moving through life, if we don't have trust around us, like it's not a good existence. you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And
So that's
but
we're
what I'm
proving.
saying is if an enterprise customer comes along, you know, then that speed of trust, it's gonna need to move at a faster rate.
Well, that's where we bring in all of our A-listers. So we've got all that talent. So so I came out of the elite agency world to build this grassroots led born network and then connect that talent to it once we've designed an awesome system to take care of the people. But we need that talent for those customers. So we have access. It's just more about our internal development, right? We're still in an internal like metamorphosis phase. So I honor that process, and I honor the seasons. And right now it's summer, and so I see that every summer there's like sprinting time, and then like fall, is like should be like a lot of harvesting time, and then enjoyment. And winter get us through the winter, and then like next year, we're back on and we get our whole being as a community almost into this sort of flow. That's going to be more valuable for our day to day, because we're always going to need money. That's without a doubt. But we're always going to need like that value. That's without a doubt. But it's like, are we always going to just be starting from scratch every time?
Yeah.
No.
And
An
no.
enterprise of
Yeah.
human beings.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So, okay. So what else all right. So you and Natalie, Basil and Natalie are connected. So, yeah, let me know when that is. And if I can jump in, that I think it might be help, I know I'm trying to like do less, but we'll see. No matter what, like record that, right?
Well, Natalie, let me and Natalie do it recorded, so we can record the flow, and then she can give feedback for what she perceives.
That's true. And I can watch it at like 3 times speed, and
then that
that's
way
more
it
efficient.
might be efficient. Because then
So,
if she helps us ultimately like be like that sort of if she's people circle, then it only makes sense that when we're talking about starting circles, then like our editorial circle, like that double duty, essentially that double role comes in handy as we need to be able to scale up our editorial circles. So
yeah, absolutely.
Because that's how we're going to handle demand. If we have people out there selling our services off of my portfolio or whatever, off the portfolio, our portfolio is going to grow, but off the portfolio, then the customers are going to expect that. I've got to be able to hand off, and we've got to be able to do it better than me. And I'm only like here, but there's, we can get here like together,
Yeah.
It's valuable. It's valuable. That's real production budgets. People pay like 50 grand for one film for an NGO for like ECOU. Like it's just like.
No, I know. I did a bunch of research. I was looking at the websites, and as far as like what people are charging for just branded content. There's a lot of money out there.
100,000 a year per customer is going to be like our normal. So essentially, if we're running branded content pipelines 12 months a year, that's going to be like $120,000 a year per customer.
Yeah. So I think while we close up, Newman, what should, and I'm just sort of saying this out loud with everybody here, what do you think, Newman, about as far as like getting the project going? Because I think I feel like we've sort of used up most of Tuesday, which is today. So as far as
well, I think it's that work that we did on the Asana. We're going to use that BW marketing project there. I need to get to know all the principals. And got those We've got those to-dos
I
already.
can give you a quick walkthrough through the different sort of ongoing like weekly, because we have currently multiple weekly ongoing Better Worlds processes weekly. It's in the
Right.
assignment. It's not perfectly in the assignment, but I can sort of, I could spend 15 minutes just, at some point.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
each day, if you want me to later or whatever.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. When do you all want to do
Yeah,
that?
if you-
Anytime you want. You call the time, I'm always available. You call
Monday
me.
morning would be perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Monday
Or
morning.
or your morning Monday. That would be great.
Where are you? Where are you?
I'm Eastern time, New York City.
Shit. Okay. All right. But
I know. Yeah, Basil and I are like late risers.
Oh yeah. Well, that's okay. Like anytime, but it's just this or on Friday. Friday might be good just because it would be a micro meeting if you wanted to get, but it might be good for me to get into this project. And basically it's getting the templates and getting sort of an outline of what's going to happen and the people who are going to do that work. And then I see the project manager role as setting the context of it, facilitating meetings, that calendar and traffic control, like getting the calendars, figuring out everybody's time zones, and establishing good sort of discipline in the work that's being done.
Without that, like when I have that around, woo, it's like,
Yeah.
then it's like a well-oiled machine. That's what we're creating, right? It's just like we're creating this.
Yeah, and or like the cooking mise en place. It's like having everything in place and it's ready. Like all of the that to me, that's how I was taught project management, is like planning the picnic or the like having all of the things ready and then as they go, just in time. The Gantt chart, like how long things take, and basically getting to know those resources is really the key. Like where are the works done? Like all these names, like Troy and John and like Kim, where their lane is, and then helping them for facilitating. I see the project manager role as a facilitation role for certain.
It's critical. It's without the project manager facilitator role in any operation, it's just going to be a mess.
And then in that agile way, the software development way, which is different than the performing arts way, but they have a whole ton of different words for it. But it's basically being a runner. It's like, okay, you need this, something didn't happen, like an expediter in the kitchen.
Expediter, exactly. Yeah. You've maybe, yeah. And me as a producer, I try to learn all the stations.
Yeah.
And I try to learn them all really well, so I know what's good and what's not. But yeah, then as an expediter, then like, yeah, it works.
You can see, and then just to be in that role where everyone can talk to me, like that I can be a hub in case, like just so that the free flowing of communication. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a third person than directly. And then these Kanban boards are great because it's all very clear and you can just reference it, and then making sure that those are all up to date, that people are writing things down, and they may or may not be familiar with this model, and like putting in information, that kind of thing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, so then, all right. So you two are going to connect Basil and Newman, and then Newman. I'm like maybe you and I can just connect over Discord or something. I think most of this, right? Like you can jump on on Monday. I think maybe there's something, and I don't mind facilitating it as far as like starting to get like the logins and all of that, because that might be a whole thing. And so I can kind of help facilitating that. And I think that's it.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Cool. Natalie,
That's
anything to add on before we shove off?
No, just some of this. Some of this.
Oh, some of that.
that.
Some of this.
Summer dancing time.
Yeah, now we're dancing.
And now
I think
we're
I'm gonna
dancing.
go outside and hang out with my sprouts. And
Sounds
I'll
cool.
I'll
Yummy.
see you guys soon.
All
All right.
Okay. I emailed you some
Thanks,
stuff,
Natalie.
Natalie.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Great
Yeah,
meeting.
thank you,
I
Bob.
appreciate you. See you later.
Yeah.
I'll sign off too.
Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
Rob. Thanks, Basil.